3000.
What is doing? My name's Maloney. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by a DJ, a collector. I'm not going to say cinematographer because I know you don't like that, but a dude who works in film also. Heath, thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm a bit nervous because you know how all this stuff works and I don't know how it works, so I'm worried that you're not framed right. I'm fucking nervous, man.
Oh, man, it's your thing. You do your thing.
No,
look, he's still touching.
Look at this. I'm actually going to do it on the fly. There you go.
What's he doing?
There you go, yeah.
What's your colour temperature?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how many kelvins are on or any of that stuff.
There you go. You know how to measure light.
But I just know the name. Man, thanks for coming. I have to give you something. Here's a T-shirt.
How's this? Presents.
Double XL.
That's
3000
the one.
podcast T-shirts. I'm not sure if when this comes out. There you go. And a hat too. You can't buy the hats yet. But yeah.
First cab off the rank. Thank you.
Yeah.
Much respect. Cheers.
I'm...
I'll put that there so I don't ruffle it.
Yeah. I'm not sure when this comes out if there will be any more of those left, but if there's not, hopefully we'll do another run soon. And if anyone needs any screen printing high tees, they're in Footscray. They are awesome. High tees. What are they? highteescreenprinting.com.au. All right.
Awesome.
Enough plugs. Now, man, let's kick this off. So I know you live in Melbourne now.
Yes.
But you grew up in Shepparton, I believe. What's it like for a young Heath growing up in Shepparton?
Wow, that's an interesting one. Born in 74. Mm-hmm. Grew up on a dairy farm in a place called Heata, where my folks still are. No longer on the farm working it, but are retired now.
Yep.
Pretty interesting. Went to a primary school called Heata Primary and then went to Wagga, which was the high school. But I think the two of the best things about growing up in Shepparton was the space, like being out in the country. I love it. I miss it. Being in Melbourne now, I can kind of get a bit claustrophobic and so forth. So I think I've still got that country boy thing at heart.
Yep.
You know, we basically just rode motorbikes, 2-strokes, you know, Honda CRs and all that sort of stuff in paddocks and just would go out during the day and just come back for dinner.
Yep.
You know, and just hit whatever we could to, jump off, swim off, bridges, anything. Not with the motorbikes, of course, but...
Was it a lot of sort of second generation immigrants, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was.
There?
Yeah. We're on Yorta land. We don't have the farm anymore, and I won't go into that because that's a very ugly family story.
Well,
not my immediate family, love them to death. But, it was my dad's dad, and he took over it once his dad sort of passed on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. But I think the best thing about growing up there was, as I said, the space, the quiet. But then in 1984, we got our first VCR, right? And Dad brought home this movie called Beat Street. I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Been hooked ever since.
And then you're seeing stuff there. Like, are you at 10?
Yep.
Are you coming down to Melbourne? Are you going to Sydney? Are you seeing cities? Or are you just seeing it on TV?
I'm really just seeing it on TV and whatever you could get off music programs. So you had shows, I think it was on like Channel 7 or something called Sounds with Donnie Sutherland maybe. You had ABC shows like Beatbox and so forth like that. And then later on, obviously, Rage.
Yep.
And
when did Rage come out? Early 80s?
Early 80s, I would have thought.
Yeah.
The promos kind of tell you that, give a little bit of a hint there, I think.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That was a big one for us to get music and magazines, of course.
Yeah.
Around 85, 86, my dad, who started a mobile disco in 1983.
Wow.
Which was a big thing in the 80s.
To do
in the
weddings
country.
and that sort of thing?
Yeah, weddings, 21sts, engagements, 18ths, that was a big thing in the country. Yeah. This is all. So mobile discos were huge up there. Yeah. So
you do the when they in the country they do the debutante balls and that sort of thing. Didn't they used to do that?
Oh yeah, I did a deb ball.
Did you?
Oh my God, that was embarrassing, that shit. That was fucking horrible.
You DJ'd it or you actually did
No,
one?
you had to do it. It was part of high school that you did the
We
dead
never
ball.
did that in the city though. You
No,
have a
smart.
formal, yeah.
Yeah, I mean we had B&S's, so we had a lot of fuckery in the country, I guess.
A lot of fuckery.
Dead balls, B&S balls,
Yeah.
Neither exists, I think, anymore.
Yeah.
Well, BNSs certainly don't exist.
Did it? Yeah. So your dad's doing mobile disco stuff. I'm just trying to imagine in the mid-'80s what a mobile disco setup would look like. It'd be crates of records. There'd be some turntables.
Yes.
There might even be deck-to-deck cassette sort of.
No, it was strictly vinyl at that point until CD sort of came in the later 80s when he moved to CDJs. But he had an American DJ mixer that didn't even have a crossfader, so it was full RSL. DJing, so it was like, play one record, as it's sort of winding down, fade up the next one, fade up and down, full RSL style.
Yep.
And that's all punters wanted pretty much.
And just like sort of Michael Jackson, Madonna, that sort of ABBA, that kind of shit.
All top 40 stuff, top 40. But at the time, around 84, there was a thing happening overseas called Italio Disco, which was becoming really big. And that took off in Shepparton as well. So there was this mix of DJs playing Italia house.
There's a lot of Italians there, isn't there?
A big Italian Greek community because of all the orchards and so forth. Still a few around. There was a frost that went through like a decade ago or less that basically just uprooted a lot of the crops, and the drought from 12 years, 15 years ago destroyed so much of the horticulture up there. So a lot of that's like, as a farming community, because we were dairy farmers, and dairy basically doesn't exist up there anymore. It's completely gone. I think there might be one farm, if that's doing it, but
the big supermarkets have sort of strangled that industry, haven't they?
Completely. Places like 7-Eleven and so forth, importing milk from China at half the cost. Yeah, that's basically what put our farm out of business. You just couldn't compete with that. So that was shit, and especially because a lot of the dairy farmers then, when the cows went out, it was sort of off season. They'd go and work at the cannery in SPC, and that would keep them afloat. But then the orchard started going down, and it was like, you go to SPC now. I think it's owned by Coca-Cola, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just half the place it was. So
yeah, I think it's one thing we've kind of figured out in the last 50 years is if a town's built on one kind of industry, that's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you go up there now, and it's the urban sprawl is out now. Like we were 10 k's out of town with the occasional house here and there. Now the urban sprawl's pretty much right on the doorstep.
Yep.
So you're going, what's Shep doing now? What's expanding it? Is it online internet stuff? I'm not really sure. I don't spend enough time up there anymore. But one thing I must say though, if you do go to Shepparton, you have to go to Shingo's.
Okay. And what's Shingo's?
Shingo's is a bar in town.
Yep.
If you ever get Briggsy on, get Briggsy to talk about it. Yeah, he's a local lad up there that runs a bar, and this bar is like unlike anything you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, wow.
It's awesome.
Awesome. I'll have to get you to put in a good word with Briggs to get him on the show, man. Michelle Grace Hunter asked him, and he said he wasn't interested.
Yeah, there you go. But the thing is, you'll get a straight answer from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I think he said no.
Yeah, he said no. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's Briggs.
That's Briggs. So what is
Love him.
what is Shepparton like in the 80s? Like it did through the 90s and 2000s had a bad reputation and maybe a bit of like a dangerous place and a sort of a drug.
Yes.
Like there was was there a drug culture there in the 80s?
Yeah, definitely. This is all pre-ease, obviously. So a lot of it was speed, smack, and weed. So, most people that you're playing footy with at the age of 10 or 12, 14, they're all punching a couple of cones before running out on the ground.
Wow, at 10.
Yeah, easy. No worries. The big thing was when I was probably 16, 17 doing year 12, the thing was to inject your speed.
Jesus, that leveled quickly.
Yeah. Oh. I'm a good boy. I've never done drugs. I'm not against anything or judge anyone that does, but I sort of saw a lot of that and just went, nah, I'm not interested. Yeah, I'll just stay away from that shit.
For sure.
All I wanted to do was just buy hip-hop records and ride motorbikes.
Yeah.
And shoot like crappy little films on Super 8 and VHS. So
for sure.
That's kind of where I steered myself. And because I was out on a farm, I wasn't around people a lot. It's quite insulated out there, Well, I wouldn't say it's a remote country, but it's an effort to get into town. To ride your bike in there is a good, hour or so just to get to a first shop.
And I think that is also potentially why kids get involved in drugs and shit earlier, because you're isolated and there's not much to do.
That's right, because there were no skate parks or anything like that, and all that culture kind of didn't exist. It was pretty much just football and cricket, footy and cricket. And if you didn't do that, I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah.
But, I played cricket. Yeah, it's all right. Footy, loved playing footy.
Yep.
That was awesome. But, I think going back to that 1984 thing, once Dad brought home Beat Street and I saw that, that's just everything I loved. And I mean, it's a beautiful looking film as well, incredibly well shot.
Yep.
And I think I got the combo. I'm interested in both aspects. The music's blowing my mind, and the cinematography in it is just off its head as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, nowadays it's a time catch-all. It's like Wild Style. You look at that and go,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
But it was so fresh. It was so colourful against this just urban. I hate that word, urban. This concrete jungle sort of like backdrop.
It's pops of colour with monotonous grey behind it.
Yeah, and it just made sense to me. You know, it's just, how can something that's so far away, so removed from everything you've ever experienced in your life, just hit you like that?
Yeah.
And I feel incredibly fortunate that I got the bug. And to this day, being 50 now, it's still there more than ever.
Yeah.
I love it. I can never see it not interesting me or being a massive part of my life.
Well, and arguably hip hop turned 50 last year as well.
Yeah.
So there you go. Then
Yeah.
you're the same generation as hip hop itself.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I started doing was graph. And it was a mate and myself. I think we were about 12 years old, and we were just going under bridges, because as soon as you went into town and tried to tag something or hit something up, you were complete. Like,
just
the cops
using
knew.
black spray paint.
Yeah, exactly. Any chrome you could get, just whatever you could steal out of your dad's yard. And there was one crew up there called CVP, which was Central Victorian Posse, and they were good. Yeah. They did some ill shit, like
Central Victorian.
Yeah,
Posse.
CVP.
Yeah, right.
Who was it? Another guy called Heath, actually, and another kid, last name Wilmot, I think it was. Anyway, I probably got that completely wrong. I wasn't part of the crew or anything, but there was a mate and myself, Sidey, and what we used to do, we used to get the hip-hop compilations by Street Sounds that were coming out of the UK at the time. Around
like a mail order thing.
Yeah, or getting a mail ordered from Central Station from down in Melbourne, sent up. And these compilations, Street Sounds, it was started with the Electro series and then went to hip-hop at 14, I'm pretty sure it was, went up to 22. And they were compilations of all these great, like, underground, like, UK and US artists. And there was one particular Hip Hop 17 that just had some of the illest graph I'd ever seen at the time. I wasn't seeing lines, I wasn't seeing trains or anything like that in the city. We had none of that. So it was only what you had immediately in front of you, which was kind of cool as well.
Yep.
So we used to like jack some of the names. I think one of them was Stex or something like that. And we'd go to bridges and sort of, get up, and then it was like, oh no, I'm really shit. I'm really, really bad at this. And I tried it again and again and just went, nah. Yeah. Bit of advice to some people that get into certain interests and whatever. If you're shit, just stay a fan.
Yeah. But at the same time...
That's the decision I made. I just went, nah, I'm leaving this, because I'm jacking someone's name, I'm copying their style, and I'm doing it so badly. And I just went, nah, I'm leaving it. I'll just be a fan.
I can take that on board, but I think that people are discouraged because they're not immediately good at stuff, and that's a bad life lesson.
No, we tried for a while.
Okay.
I'm not saying we went out twice and did it.
Okay.
He was actually, Sidey was quite good at it, but I just didn't pick it up at all.
Yep.
And just went. So my life lesson is, move on to something else, find another thing. Be a fan of that, and I still love it to this day. It's great.
But admire from afar.
But I admire from afar, and I've never attempted to do it ever since I was about 14, I think.
But that's the thing with hip hop. There is a whole, like, there's 4 elements, the core ones, and you don't have to be good at all of them.
No, that's
but you can appreciate them.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, all 4 need to work together in some way. They all need to be respected equally for the actual hip hop culture to work.
Yeah.
And I think I love it seeing a lot more of the old boys and old girls, especially on social media, is really, not gatekeeping, but just really preserving and showing respect to, what hip hop did for us as kids back in the 80s, and especially in Shepparton, it taught me how to respect and how, what racism was, because there's a lot of that up in country towns.
Yeah, for sure.
Quite clearly, as there is in a lot of places. But one thing it taught me was about equality. Like, you're listening to Public Enemy, you're listening to X-Clan, you're listening to Big Daddy Kane and all that stuff. You're learning about all their cultures that are so foreign from you.
Yeah.
And you're taking it on board. And as a kid, you're just soaking that shit in.
Yeah.
You're soaking in things like Ice-T going, I think it was on OG where he goes, you listen to one style of music, you're selling yourself short.
Yeah, for sure.
To find better terms. And hearing that as a kid, you're like, oh, great. And then listen to hip-hop, it's like, oh, that's jazz, that's funk, that's soul, that's northern, that's rock, that's prog. I want to know where those samples come from. And all of a sudden, your whole world opens up.
Totally. And the people that say, and there's not that many people now, but when I was a kid, people would say, I don't like hip-hop. I'm like, well, that means you don't really like any music, because hip-hop picks cool parts from all sorts of music.
That's
exactly
what
it could be gospel music, it could
100%.
be electronic, it could be fucking anything.
Yeah.
So for people to say, I don't really like hip, and like I said, no one says it anymore, but they used to say it at school, like, fuck that hip-hop stuff.
Oh, I remember in 86 when BC Boys dropped License to Ill. I was copping so much shit at the same time listening to Two Live Crew is What We Are album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Run DMC already had, 3 albums out by then almost? 2 albums?
Yeah.
Something like that. And no one wanted to give it the time of day. And then a year later, like in 87, there was this Beasties trend where everyone's walking around with their caps like this and they're
wearing the chains.
They're badging like Mercedes in the car park at basketball and the footy, and then putting them on like these shitty little chains, and everyone's walking around going, I'm a beastie. And you're like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, wow.
Strange. And then it just disappears.
Then it disappears, yeah.
And it disappears and it's gone.
It does happen. Like, a lot of things happen in waves, and it does sort of happen like that. I was too young for that era, but I was there for the 90s era.
Yeah.
But it does seem to come in sort of cycles, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like any fashion, I guess,
Of course it does. Things progress, and things have to progress. And, we get angry about it as we get older. We don't like what new things sound like. But there's always something there. You're always going to find something. It's just now, I guess, in having grown up in that era, it was like there was so much to get and you just couldn't get it all. So you're still backtracking from 30 years ago trying to get some of those 80s records, some of those 90s records, or stuff you've never heard before. And it's great, all these, like, to find a better term, boutique labels that are coming out, like Chopped Herring and Dope Folks and all that are re-releasing or finding these demos.
Yep.
That just never existed. They never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
Like an A&R or a label might have it on cassette as a demo and it just got thrown in the bin or whatever. And now you're starting to go, I'm continually going back.
Yeah.
But I'm also listening to a lot of new stuff too.
But that's what's awesome about that sort of thing in a day and age where everything's on the internet, right? So Spotify is obviously not, YouTube's not going to have these long lost gems.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And that's, even from a sampling point of view, if you can find something that's not on the internet, you're onto something there.
Oh, 100%.
To start with,
Yeah, it was crazy. I bought a lot of stuff in the early 2000s off eBay from a lot of sellers in America, like especially places like Midwest Raps.
And that's early eBay as well.
Early eBay, early sort of internet, really.
Yeah.
And was buying heaps of this gangster shit, this backwater gangster shit. Joshy Davis will know, Ron Gray. These things that don't even exist on Discogs.
Yeah.
Releases. And you're buying them for like $2 on cassette because you wanted this other album. You wanted maybe a, like a David Banner CD or something like that, or a PKO or something, out of Texas Ghetto Boys. And then you're going through the seller's list and it's all this other shit. And you're like, oh, I'll just buy that. Some of these cassettes are like...
amazing.
And the CDs they just don't exist.
And the dudes there are probably like, can you believe this guy in Australia wants to buy this shit?
This Aussie down. So, what does he know about Black Hole Posse? Like out of Denver. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
But it was crazy. So you just get this like, package for the one CD you wanted to save postage, and postage was pretty cheap back then. You'd buy like another 5 or 10 CDs or cassettes, and you just turn up and go, what the fuck is this? Never seen it, never listened.
Yeah.
Not even ended up in like Rap Pages or Source Magazine, any of that stuff. It was just local stuff. I guess it's like what we do here in Melbourne. It's a postcode.
For sure. So you mentioned Source Magazine. Is that's available at the newsagent and that's at that stage?
It was.
Shep?
Yeah, it came. Yeah, I think we were getting it in 89, 88, 80, yeah, 88, 89.
Wow.
Yeah, somehow got in.
Every month?
Every month. Yeah, it was coming through. Then you had other ones, but you had to go to certain shops in the city. There was a newsagent there on Swanston Street that used to get in this one in the 90s called Murder Dog, which was all just dedicated, 100% dedicated to gangster rap.
Wow.
You know, so lots of like Bay Area, Sacramento, Denver, Flint, Michigan, you know, Texas, real backwater underground stuff, all that, you know, crazy pen and pixel, you know, the guy on the cover with the bear.
Yeah.
You know, flossing like he's in a casino and he's got like all these bears around him and choppers in the background and shit.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
So there was, and at this point, it's early hip hop as from a global perspective, but there is subgenres starting to pop up, you know?
Definitely.
Which I think a lot of people didn't even really know about. The mainstream audience just said that's rap music.
Yeah.
But you're diving into different subgenres.
Yeah, well, you're going east and west. I mean, the west was very electro-orientated, very sort of like Troutman, very Zap, very heavy P-Funk, whereas, you know, what was happening over in the East Coast at the time, which was the Run DMCs and the Public Enemies, the heavy sample, the James Brown samples more so. So it's all gangster stuff, I guess. To it, it's gangster's probably not the best term. They were all doing similar things, but some were a bit harsher than others, and the sounds that they were using, like there was a lot more sort of, what would you say? In LA, it was very, I think I mentioned that it was sort of more electro orientated, so a lot more sort of 808s and emulator sort of drum machines, harder sort of drums. Not so many samples, especially like with the early Ice-T stuff like Rhyme Pays. Still had the samples, but it was a completely different sound.
Yep.
And then over in New York, you're sampling the Funky Drummer and Apache for the 15th time.
It did get flogged.
Yeah, still love them, though.
Day.
Yeah. Oh man, you can drop those anywhere and people still love that shit.
Still love it. Yeah. So with that sort of thing, as a kid in Shepparton, and you mentioned the Beasties, when some white kids that are like school age come out and do it, does that mean you think, fuck, this is like a thing that is something that's more approachable to us on the other side of the world?
Yeah, I think so. Also copped a lot of shit too. Also copped a lot of racial slurs being, I won't say them, but what I was called for listening to black music.
Was there a divide with the white kids and then the Italian Greek sort of thing?
No, well, I mean, look, how you sort of got through in Shepparton was how good you could fight. Right. That's how you earned respect. So if you could fight or you're a good footy player or a good water skier, you kind of got left alone. But if you're a nerdy little kid like myself that listened to hip hop, you'd probably get picked on a lot. Right. Because it was all like people listening to Guns N' Roses and stuff like that at the time. And they're like, oh, what are you listening to that shit for? You should be listening to Gunners. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. Stuff's horrible to me. Sorry, anyone that's a Gunners fan, but they can get fucked.
Can I tell you something?
Oh, I fucking hate that band.
Do you?
Yeah, it's shit.
That's the first cassette I ever bought with my own money. Appetite for Destruction when I was 6 or 7.
Yeah, I got no love for it, but I've got love for the metalheads because the only people that ever showed me any love. Oh, look, I'm starting to sound like I'm an outcast and like I was like picked on all the time and all that. It wasn't, man. It wasn't like that at all. But when it came to music, it was very strict on who you were and what you listened to, even in the country. But the metalheads were the only ones that gave me the time of day.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh, no one understands your music, no one understands ours.
Yeah.
So we'll be cool. So I was cool because the metal kids were like the toughest kids in the area.
Yeah,
so I didn't get fucked with. It was great.
Yeah. And I'm guessing they're the same sort of kids that are embracing skateboard culture and that sort of thing as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're the outcast together.
Yeah, together. So it was so that made it a lot easier. But I learned a lot, and that's why I love metal and why I have respect for hardcore and metal is because of those kids in year 10 onwards that introduced me to that music, like Slayer and all that stuff. It's just awesome. Yeah,
it's funny that the like correlation between hip hop and metal, it's definitely there, and a lot of people that make hip hop love metal. A lot of people that make metal love hip hop. Yeah. But people that from the outside think that they're worlds apart.
Absolutely, but Run DMC were doing it, pre Walk This Way. We're doing it with Rockbox.
Yeah.
You know,
Because that's
and that's the Rick Rubin. That was the Rick Rubin.
But yeah, Rick
influence.
Rubin's a genius, obviously.
DJ Double R.
Double R, yeah.
Yeah, that was his first
First
name.
name. I've seen, man, even to this day, he does some remixes, and instead of saying remix Rick Rubin, he'll do Ruined by Rick Rubin,
Ruined by
which I think is fucking awesome.
Actually, have you seen that thing on the interwebs there, I Ruined It?
No.
It's this dude that just does mashups or whatever, but he just completely ruins the song. On purpose.
Yeah, awesome.
To the point where he puts it with a really annoying pop song, but a really good, like, could be like Teen Spirit with...
Amazing.
with Trailer Swift, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's Jewel, by the way. Trailer Swift.
Trailer Swift.
I heard that the other day, not original material, but
That's good, yeah.
I love that one they call Jewel Trailer Swift.
Yeah, amazing.
And he just does it and just completely ruins the song, and then at the end he goes, there, I ruined it. And you're like, fuck.
You need a hook. That's a good one, though, man.
That's a good one. Yeah, I ruined it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get back onto your journey. So you're obviously loving your hip hop shit. High school years, you've got to come to Melbourne to get your hands on what you want to.
Yep.
Are you thinking about making your own sounds? You just want to get your own. You just want to get some more hip hop in your fucking life, in your collection.
Exactly right. So Dad was getting mailing lists from Central Station and Batman Records, the charts that would come out on new releases in the mail, and you'd open up and it'd be a whole chart. And he'd go, right, we're going down. Next month we're going down. So he'd drive me down to Central Station. I think it was when it was in the city square.
Yeah. He's full-time DJing at this stage?
Oh, no, he's a dairy farmer. Yeah.
Just doing that as a bit of a side hustle.
Yeah, so that's just his sort of weekend job. If you asked him what he did back then, he'd go, I'll pull tits for a living and spin records on the weekend. I'm like, okay, cool. No worries.
Awesome.
I don't know how you're going to put that on your fucking tax return, but we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah.
And so he'd drive us down and we'd go and, we'd hit up all the shops, all the indie shops, and you just go in there and you just listen to records, just crates of this stuff. You go, I don't know what it is. So I was buying, that's where I said I was buying the Street Sound records, because records were still like, $34, $40 or whatever back then.
When you put that into consideration to inflation, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And I always think back, like, how much is like a fucking cheeseburger? A cheeseburger would have been like 50 cents.
Yeah.
And a record's still $35, $40.
Yeah, it could be. Some could be somewhere around 20. Depends on who was distributing and how they were getting into the country. Yeah. But I found that because you didn't have much money, especially as a 12-year-old, 14-year-old digging in Melbourne, you just went for compilations, and this is where those, I keep saying...
Bang for buck.
Yeah, bang for buck. And then you'd learn the artist. And then you'd hear the artist and you go, oh. And you could read, sometimes they would put in the notes on certain songs who they sampled, but not actually say this is sampled by James Brown. It'd just be in like, the brackets going written by J. Brown.
Because they didn't want to get the copyright.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a way of getting around stuff or not, but
Were they bootlegs, these things, or they were legit?
They were legit. They were actual, they were compilations made by Street Sounds.
Okay.
And you can find them there on like Facebook. They've got a page and so forth, but it was awesome. So that's what started it in terms of, and then I just wanted to learn how to sort of DJ, which I'm still trying to learn.
Your dad's DJing though, so that's a good start.
Yeah, that was a good start. I tried rapping as well. Shit house. Nah.
Put that in the graffiti category.
Put that in the graph box, exactly. Breaking. Never really tried breaking, but loved it. Loved watching it.
Yeah.
You could do a couple of moves here and there when you're younger and a bit more nimble, but it was really the DJing side and I think the production side that really interests me.
So the
sounds.
Would you get? Well, you're not buying 12s, but if you did get a 12, there'd be an instrumental. There might be an extended version, so you could use that to try and sort of beat match and mix them together.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't remember the turntables old man had. He never had Technics. I didn't get my first pair of Technics until I moved to Melbourne in like 95.
Yeah.
Which I still have. Same ones.
Yeah, they last, man.
Yeah.
I don't think you can buy any other piece of audio equipment that would be worth more now than it was 30 years ago. There's not much out there.
Nah, it's crazy. They're so good, man. They're so reliable. I mean, I'm not a turntablist by any means. I am actually, I'll say it, I am not a turntablist. So I won't get into commenting too much on, equipment and all that because, there'll be certain people that'll go,
Well, I think, yeah, look, and some people don't really get it, but yeah, there's DJs. I'm a DJ also. I'll say that, but I'm not a turntablist at all.
Yeah.
I'll use records,
Yeah.
but I'm not a turntablist.
Yeah.
See, Relic, who we had a couple of weeks ago, is turntablist.
Absolutely.
Right? There are people out there like that. But, yeah.
Man, we've got Wolsey with us, you know, like, what can I say?
Yeah.
His hands speak for himself, you know what I mean? If you heard Hands of Steel on Kill Squad, that thing's just like unbelievable.
Yeah. And those guys are just, I don't know, man, the way that their brain works is different. They can hear, like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, with that, I basically just gave him like 2 loops and a couple of sounds and some samples and just went, you sequence the whole thing. So he's played the whole thing live, like all the cuts, everything, all the juggles, everything's live. He's sequenced that whole thing. And so myself and the boys just followed his lead on that. Just brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you've got some turntables. You're learning. You're trying to learn how to mix. Is there any? Your dad, you said he's got no crossfader.
Yeah.
So you're like, Dad, I'm seeing these dudes do these things. Like, did you try and get a mixer that had a fader? You turn in the fucking American DJ one on the side. What
No, I was just RSLing. You know, I was trying to do year 11 and 12 at the time as well. So it was more so about just collecting and listening and just working out the aesthetics of it, of beat mixing and, you know, what goes with what and how things clash, or, you know, you think you got a mix coming out of this and then another sound comes in and just smashes it out. You're like, it doesn't work. And I think it was more so I was just trying to get the records.
Yeah, just collect them.
Yeah, just collect them. And I didn't have the money to buy doubles, so I never learned how to juggle or anything like that, you know, at that early age.
Yeah, and that's also the downside of the compilations is you've only got one version of that song. If you're buying the single, you'll have multiple versions, acapellas, and that's how you actually, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the acapellas are cool because you learn how to scratch words and what certain sounds, like certain pronunciations of letters and what gives you a thinner cut or a thicker cut or gives you a style of cut. So that was interesting, just doing that and just you know, little baby cuts back and forth just to experiment, because I didn't have anyone that knew that stuff. There was no internet. You could read it in a magazine, but it's just words and pictures.
You see that on Herbie Hancock Rocket though?
Oh, yeah.
And then when that came out, like, surely people said, this is how you fucking do it.
Yeah. Right.
These sounds I'm hearing, now I can see it.
So good. And you were just pining for anything you can get your hands on. Like, you're even going through movies that had anything to do with hip-hop, like Flashdance, and you had your VCR hooked up to a tape deck in the lounge room, and you like making basically pause tapes and just recording whatever that was. I think it was the Rocksteady crew that were on Flashdance. I think at one point she's walking down the street and they're just in the street breaking, and they got a track playing. You're like, right, I'll record that little bit. Right, put that onto a tape. And eventually you just had these dozens and dozens of cassettes of just stuff you're just stealing off what you pre-recorded on video or what you're hiring.
But you're sampling without even realising it.
That's right.
So early. Yeah.
Actually, I never thought of it. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly what it is. I never thought of it like that. I guess that's what maybe pushed me in the direction of, you know, wanting to mash sounds together more so. I mean, I'll always DJ. I love it. But putting stuff into a sampler from what you're hearing and what's in front of you or what you see in your shed and just going, I wonder if that goes with that. I think that's my true passion of hip hop.
Yeah. Well, 100%. And that's, just creating like a musical collage of sounds and shit you like.
Exactly, which is what basically Executions is. It's everything that was in my shed, that where I sit at my desk, where my VHSs are, where my vinyl is, my, you know, cassettes, whatever I've got in there, just going, oh yeah, I love that movie. Right, cool. Yeah, great. Oh, watch that. Dig for samples, put them in, and then just let it take you.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you thinking about keys when this is happening, or are you just clashing everything, you're throwing it in like?
Look, there's certain things that you start, or I find for myself, that where I start to create, I might find a break and go, oh yeah, I know a horn that might go with that, or I've got a bass line in my head, so I'll try to tap it out. I only deal with hardware, like I don't do any soft synths or I don't do download packs. Like every kick, snare, break, I find off a physical format.
Yep.
I know that sounds really laborious.
No, but it's
but it's just the way I like to do it.
And will you record that then into a sampler?
Yeah.
You won't record it onto a hard drive and be like, I'll keep that for later?
I have done that before, and I still for some reason, I've got a new computer and I haven't got everything sort of hooked up, so it's all going through an MPC 2000. And shout out to chaps who just installed the 8 out and the effects board in there for me. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Singing like a bird at the moment. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I'll store it onto. We've got flashcards now connected up this massive old box. Looks like the size of a VHS player that takes like a CF card that's about that big.
Yeah, wow.
It's excessive. So we just record onto that. You can't hot swap, so you've got to kind of just put it into a file and just leave the same card in there. Or, like you said, I just record it into like GarageBand or something like that, or Logic, and just store them as a file.
Catalog them? Do you so this is a horn stab.
Yep.
This is a random vocal from a movie. Yeah.
Yep. So I'll certainly with movie samples, I'll just name the film and I'll watch the film and I'll just go say. This is really interesting, man. I love that you brought this up because this is all making sense to me now as well.
There you go.
It's like going back to recording Rage and Flashdance and all that on the pause tape. So that's exactly the method that I didn't realise that I'm still using.
Yeah, and
I'm sure other people do that, or everyone has their own way to skin the cat. But fuck, man, that's crazy. This is awesome.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're learning something about yourself.
Yeah, because you just do it. It's just it just becomes muscle memory. It's mechanical at times.
I think it's that whole sort of production thing. If you are producing a song from scratch, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But if someone said create a beat fucking collage of sounds, I'd be like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think anyone could actually do that.
Yeah. It's a really nice interpretation of something.
Not to say anyone could do it well, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Completely. Everyone has a different way of how they start a beat. Sometimes I'll generally dig for breaks, for drum breaks off 45s, as much as I can. And that'll start me. But sometimes you'll just hear a sample, or you'll be watching a movie, or someone says something, or what. It can be anything. It can be like, a car hits the brakes and you hear this screeching sound. You go, fuck, that's a cool sound. Oh, I wonder if and then all of a sudden your brain just starts ticking over and you're going, well, do I start with a loop? Do I start with a horn? There's no rhyme or reason to how I make a beat.
And one thing I'd love to do.
But there's always something that inspires you. There's always one sound or one loop or one stab or anything, just a filtered noise that you just go, that can become something. That's what you start with. You kind of start with a restriction.
Yeah.
And then everything else, you realise what you can't do with it, and then everything else kind of falls in.
Around it.
Yeah.
What I'd love to do with this show eventually is to get some producers and give them like a record, the same record, like 3 of them, and see what people come back. And someone else said, "Oh, it's been done before, but I'm not really aware of to what extent." Yeah. And then see what everyone brings back. You know what I mean? Because it'd be so different.
Vinyl roulette? No, roulette.
Yeah. There's what's that called? Rhythm roulette.
Rhythm roulette.
Is it rhythm roulette?
Yeah, something like that.
But that's where they want, But give the same records
Yeah.
to 3 different people, see how different it comes back.
Well, it's interesting because I used to, like back in the early days when, Taunts was doing Adding Insult to Injury, I gave him a couple of records as well. And I think one of them was Razorback. And the sounds he used, I was making beats, but nothing was released or whatever. I was just doing it for fun, just sort of trying to learn and, learning from these guys and stuff. I think they were on XLs. Bigfoot was on a 2000. Checkers was on Atari maybe at the time or something,
Yeah.
Just watching how everyone made different stuff. But, sorry, to the point where...
He's on Atari?
Yeah, he was using Atari. Was it 1040 Atari, like the sequencer?
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure what he was sampling with at the time, but I remember him having that program at one point. Anyway, he'd tell you more. I mean, I'm going back 20 years or something. But, yeah, to the point it was interesting, like giving Taunts Razorback, he used completely different samples to what I used, like the Extreme Prejudice soundtrack. He'd use that flip, I'd use another flip. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like we'd heard each other's stuff. It's just people interpret it completely different. Totally. So there's a lot of merit to what you're saying of doing that.
Yeah.
If you just give people the record and go, what are you going to find?
Yeah.
And you're guaranteed it'll come up with something completely different. Unless you've got a really obvious break, they'll still use the break, but people will still chop that break, or they'll slow that break or fasten that break, isolated into kicks and snares and hats,
Yeah.
it'll always be different.
Totally.
It's such an interesting concept. I love it.
For sure. I'd love to do it, and I just need to get three
Do
people
it.
that are interested.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
Maybe you'll be able to help me hook some people up that we could do it with.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Let's get back on your journey, man.
Okay.
So, collecting hip hop, you're immersing yourself in hip hop. You're just finishing school. Do you move to Melbourne after that?
No, I moved to Wagga. So I go and do a film and television sound production course in Wagga at Charles Sturt for 3 years. So I couldn't get into AFTRS, which was the Australian Film and Television Radio School.
And that's in Melbourne?
That's in Sydney in Ryde. That's like the elite film school as such. It's the one where you need to be you have to be mature age students. So you have to be 21 or older, and you had to have had industry experience already.
Which is a catch-22, because how do you have industry experience unless your fucking family's in it?
Exactly. So you got to work that out for yourself. So what it's doing is basically all the kids that are coming out of year 12 that are 17 or 18 going, I just write down something and I'll get in. It's getting rid of all the people that actually don't want to do it, that are just putting it down as a preference or putting it down because they have to. So what they're actually doing, they're filtering out all the bullshit to start with.
They're weeding out the spuds.
Absolutely. But I would have loved to have gone. I was ready to go. I wanted to do it, but I couldn't do it.
How much industry experience can a kid in fucking Shepparton have at 18 years old?
Fuck all, really.
Exactly.
I worked for, even working for a TV network or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That might help, but it's essentially a film school. It's not, it's got the television aspect to it, but they're really concentrating on films.
And you've got like a high 8 camera at this stage. You're making your own little stuff.
I had a Super 8 camera, the same one, which I still have to this day.
Wow.
I had a VHS, a National Panasonic.
One of those?
Yeah, one of those with a full cassette.
Wow.
So, you could actually shoot in-camera edit and then put it in the VHS player and go, oh, there it is.
In skateboard culture, they call it the dad cam.
Oh, the dad cam.
Because the dads would be like at the skate park and they're like, yeah, they've got the dad cam
You've got the dad cam out.
Which was the full VHS.
Oh, it's the one. It's so, you can't hide that one. And it looks dodgy too.
For sure, but there's nothing cooler than recording something, no cables or anything, ripping it out, putting it straight in the VHS.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And that was the process. That was like, we just want immediate, because before that we were shooting on Super 8, which was a 3-minute 8mm roll of film that you had to send off to be developed that would then come back maybe a month later, and you were just hoping that you got it exposed.
Audio, that's going to be...
We didn't do audio. We didn't have a microphone that we could plug in.
So it was just like...
I actually know the film stock itself didn't have sound on it. So and you had to be able to record onto it, and we had just 8mm without sound, so everything was silent. Making great things like River Road Massacre, Attack of the Killer Sultanas, which was basically...
like stop motion?
Yeah, no, just actually, we did a little bit of stop motion, but it was we're trying to make Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but we didn't have any tomatoes, so we decided to call it Sultanas, and what we'd do was just get cow shit, like lumps of dry cow shit, and just float it down the channel, and people going, look out, and these dry pieces of cow shit hitting people in the head, going, and then, you'd have a tomato sauce bottle under the water, squirting it up, and there's tomato sauce coming out of the fucking water. And it's great.
Good times.
Good times.
Yeah.
Sorry, I digress. So then went to Wagga for 3 years.
Yep.
Did that course.
Is it a different sort of city to, like, is it comparable to Shep? Like, it's the same, it's another big, another big country town?
It's probably worse. It's full on. It's full on. It's a big town. You had... I think it was something like 47 to 50 pubs in the main street, which were 2 main streets. It was like
what's the industry there?
What is it? There's cattle, sheep.
So it's just farming again.
Yeah, it's just farming again. Yeah, and just a big town, just a really big country town.
Yeah.
I loved being there. The 3 years there were just awesome.
Yeah.
It was just
being a different place.
Different place.
More people that were moving there to do the same sort of like-minded shit.
Well, it was basically, the place was made up of people that couldn't get into city universities for whatever reason. So you just put them all in a country town. No one knew anyone. And it was like, well, you're on your own.
Yep.
You're not turning up there with mates or a crew and go, whatever. But
everyone's starting from scratch.
Everyone's starting from scratch. So you really had to sink or swim in terms of you're either a dickhead or you're not.
Yeah, and I guess at that point, everyone's come from similar country towns where
Yeah.
the footy players and the jocks were doing their thing.
Yeah.
And then you were somewhat creative, so you kind of had an instant connection in that capacity anyway.
Yeah, it was great. But you also had, the weirdest thing about Wagga was you had so many different factions. So within the university, you had the arties, who were us, the chalkies, and the ag students.
What are the chalkies?
Business people. They were called chalkies.
Okay.
So if you're doing...
Why chalk? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like you write on...
Chalk, blackboard.
Blackboard stuff.
The pen pushers.
Yeah, the pen pushers.
Chalkies.
Yeah, they were called chalkies.
Right, yep.
Arties and then the ag students. And the ag students were a world until their own. They were
love a drink.
Fucking maniacs.
Yeah.
So you had all those guys and they hated everyone and we all hated them. And then you'd put them into town with the townies who hated all uni students.
Right.
Right. And then you would go on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you would let out the boys from the RAF base.
Right. They're going to
Training.
The
cadets. Then you take the Army Reserve boys, put them in there as well, put all these people together in a street with 47 pubs. What do you reckon happened?
A lot of fucking fights.
Shitloads of fights.
And there's probably only one police station in the whole joint.
Oh, there was lots of cops. There was lots of cops. But we also had military police going up and down the street. So if any of the Defence Force boys got out of line, which they did constantly, MPs would just come down, throw them in the fucking paddy wagon and drive them back out to base. And you wouldn't see them for another month.
Wow. What a fun place to go to uni, man.
Yeah, and as such, there was no hip-hop culture there at all.
No.
I was probably the only one, I think, maybe one other dude that listened to hip-hop. Everyone was into the grunge stuff, which was great. I loved all that.
Yeah.
You know, the indie stuff, you know, the Dinosaur Juniors, that was all popping off at the time.
At least it was different.
Awesome.
At least it was something new.
Oh, it was unreal. Sonic Youth, you know, I wasn't hearing K-San and Copperhead Road every fucking 5 minutes on, you know, 3SR in Shepparton. Love Cold Chisel, don't get that twisted.
Flame Trees on repeat every day.
I've finished so many Malkovich sets with Flame Trees. Sorry, boys. You must be sick of it by now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Malkovich.
So you do your 3 years?
Do my 3 years, moved down to Melbourne, spend a year on the Dole, and then I get a phone call.
Whereabouts in Melbourne? When you first come to Melbourne, from it being a country boy, where are you landing? What's your first? Obviously, you've been here buying records and stuff, but it's different when you're here, living here, doing it on your own as an adult.
Yeah, so I knew some people that lived in Pigden Street in Carlton. Down near
near Princess Hill High.
Yeah,
my mate used to live in that street.
Yeah, there you go. I was down near the footy oval near Princess Park.
Yep.
In one of the old single fronted terraces.
Yeah.
And
would be worth about $5 million now.
Oh my God,
expensive around there, man.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they've still got places down there that have got stables, haven't they?
My mate's place did, yeah.
Fuck, that's crazy.
He lived out the back in that stable.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
It's a whole house into it. They're bigger than the fucking terrace.
Yeah.
Or bigger than where we were. So I knew someone there and they had a spare room, so I moved in there. And then I was there for about 6 months and I had to move. And then I moved to Lygon Street across the road from the cemetery. Mm-hmm. So just behind
not far
from Rathdown Street, like a block or so away. So I had La Paquetta, so I had cheap pizza, right? I could afford to feed myself because I was on the Dole.
Yeah, you're surrounded by Italians again. It's a similar.
I know. I feel safe. So then I got a call So I've been on Dole for about, I think, 10 months from finishing uni. So basically your piece of paper is enough to be able to wipe your ass with.
And that you were looking for a job in the industry?
Yeah, looking for a job in the industry. Very tough. Our industry is pretty much, back then, I can't really speak for now, but I'm sure it's similar, is that you really need to know someone.
It's not what you know, it's who you know. Exactly.
It really is that. It's not talking casting couches or doing anything untowards. It's just, you just need a foot in the door.
Why is someone going to hire Joe Blow from the country when they've got their friend's cousin who they could hire, who you already know, they get it. You know what I mean? That was the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And experience speaks for itself, but at that point you got no experience. You know, you've got a show reel of stuff that you made with cow shit floating down the fucking channel. You know, it's as good as it's looking at the moment. This is pretty solid, right? So all right, fuck, how am I gonna pull this one off?
Yeah.
So I think it was in October 95, I got a phone call. And it was from a girl that Lisa LaFranchi, who was a production coordinator on Neighbours who did the same course I did in Wagga, but was a year above me. And she said...
She's got some experience now.
She's got experience. She's a production coordinator on Neighbours and goes, "You're in Melbourne, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "Look, we're trial running a third driver, what's called a runner in the industry, which is someone that basically picks up the actors and then just does office work, distributes schedules, call sheets, all that sort of stuff.
Kind of logistics sort of thing.
Yeah. Helps an assistant to the office and to the producers and production managers, line producers, co-wards, all that. And also drive cast around because at that time there was a lot of cast that were on transport. It's part of their contract that they can negotiate that they get driven to and from work or they choose to drive themselves or both.
Wow.
So they were trialling a third runner and it was a 3-month thing and I did it and then it turned into 5 years.
Right.
And then in 2000 I left Neighbours, but I was a runner for a year and a half and then became a second assistant director.
Right.
For a few years, yeah.
I'm going to say that's almost like the heyday of Neighbours. Maybe that's because back then it was you couldn't stream stuff on the internet, so you kind of watched what was on TV until.
Well, when I started was, if anyone remembers, it was Kimberly Davies' last day, who was a big star at the time. And when I started, I think ratings were at the lowest they'd ever been.
Was she was going out with the Doctor or something? Was that Kimberly Davies?
No, she's going out with. There was another guy. His name, Dickie Greaves was his name. I can't remember his character name.
Yeah. Is she blonde?
Yeah. So I was there in the era come through when Toadie started, when Brooke Satchell started, when Jesse Spencer started, Jacinta Stapleton, all those young kids.
Yep.
Andrew Bibby and all that. Like that was our era. So they were, 16 to 18. We were like 20, 21. It was pretty crazy times.
For sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, right. I often, because Toadie, he's got the same last name as me, sometimes I tell people that we're cousins, which is not true. Yeah. And then people look it up, they're like, his name's Ryan Maloney. Fuck it, maybe they are cousins, but it's not
we call him Mulrooney.
Oh, right. Mulrooney, why is that?
I don't know, just a take on Maloney.
There you go. But for the record, we're not cousins.
No, not cousins?
No, not cousins. I've never met him, but there you go. I do get people sometimes.
He's a lovely chap.
I'm sure
Love
he is.
Riser. Yeah.
I'd love to get him on the show one day, man. Yeah. Apparently he's down this way.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told. Maybe not.
No, I think he's moved.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, no, he might be.
I think so.
He's somewhere down this way,
Yeah.
But I think a little bit further in.
Further that way, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's a busy boy, that one.
Is he?
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
Man, he's literally been on that show. Well, obviously I had a couple of years off, but what must be 25 years.
Yeah, so I was picking him up as a runner from his folks' house when he was 16 in 95.
Yeah, wow.
And he was only a guest cast actor at that point. He wasn't full time.
And then it's just, yeah. So, but for someone like that, I often think like this, like it's a great from an actor to have longevity and a career.
Yeah.
But fuck, it must be hard going anywhere though, man. Like anywhere in Australia.
Yeah. I got to a point with going out with a lot of those guys that you just couldn't anymore. They wouldn't come out because they were just getting fucking hassled, and like all those kids that I mentioned was, even your Daniel McPherson's and all that, they were so beautiful to people and so responsive and would take the time. But as soon as you're a dickhead, eventually that's going to wear you out, right?
100%.
That you just go, fuck this, I'm not leaving the house. And they just wouldn't.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't go out. Or they had to be in circles amongst their own sort of people or the similar not like-minded, but similar sort of stature, I guess.
Yeah.
So you kind of keeping the public away, and then the public gets an opinion on that and goes, they're fucking arrogant. They just hang out by themselves. It's like, well,
how many times in your life could you crop drunk dickheads going, "Oi, Toadie! Fucking Toadie!" Like you would just get fucking sick of it.
Oh, it drove you to fucking distraction.
Yeah.
You'd just be like, fuck this, I'm not going out. And I remember him saying that once. He goes, nah, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. We went to a festival once. I think it might have been offshore or something like that. And he just got heckled so much. But the thing is, if you're nice or just want to have a conversation, every one of them will have a chat. But as soon as you just start doing fucking shit, eventually You just got to go, I'm not going outside.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
That's what happens, yeah. And then it forces those people to be insular. And then people go, oh, this person never leaves the house. You're like, of course, because fucking people just give them grief.
And that's where the industry is cruel as well. These are like 16-year-old kids. It's like when you watch these talent shows like Australian Idol and all that. That is brutal. No. That shit is so unnecessary. They're putting kids in these positions where they are just mentally, a lot of them are not fit to be told that you're fat and that dress is ugly and your voice sounds like shit.
No.
Oh, fucking hell, man.
I think a lot of child actors now, ex-child actors say that they would never put their kids through that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
No way.
Yeah.
Not a chance in hell.
No.
Not a chance. But you've also then got screen parents. Yeah. You know, they're the ones that want to live their failures through their children and push them to that point of where the kids just go, I don't want to do this. That can be in sports. That can be in anything.
Yeah.
Just let your kids be your kids.
Totally. My son's almost 5 and I'll put a skateboard there. I'll give him a basketball, I'll play him hip-hop music.
Yeah.
But I'll let him pick what he wants to do
100%.
and then help him in that pursuit. If it's something I like, bonus, right?
Shogun Assassin. Pick the apple or pick the sword.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Pick the ball or pick the sword.
But yeah.
That's your choice.
Exactly. So
but they both have outcomes, right?
Yeah, we'll find what they want to do and help them in that. People that have their kids out there training at 3 or 4 years old, I think it's just cruel. You're taking the fun out of it for the kid.
I think so. They've got to be their own person. I mean, especially with what, we have in our house and this, all the records and movies and all that. You can show them things. You can, but you're not trying to influence, which is why I hate this fucking term influencer.
Yep.
Because it's such a deliberate ploy to make you like what I like.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I really struggle with. I think you can influence, but there's a difference. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't think a lot of these people should be called influencers. They should be called imposers because they're fucking imposing their shit on you.
Yeah, I think that the way these influencer thing will change a lot because I think people will start to cotton on that a lot of these people don't have any substance behind them. Yeah. It's got to happen eventually.
Eventually, yeah. Yeah, but as long as we keep making reality TV, we're stuffed, aren't we?
As long as people, do you know what, man? Like, I never watch any of that shit, and my partner doesn't because I'd probably leave her if she did. But like,
you're lucky.
Really?
Oh man, my house is full of it. Survivor.
Oh, she watches Survivor. That's her one. That's her one.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Yeah, Sarah and Miller and Edie love that one. Yeah. But things like Farmer's got chlamydia. Like, what the fuck? Oh, fuck. Farmer wants a root.
But, I mean, it's probably spawning from there's no BNS balls anymore.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. No. Oh, my God. If I need any more truth, I'm going to be calling you all every week.
Do you want to write them down here?
Oh, no. They're all going in here, mate.
They're all there. But, like, I don't watch any of that stuff. And, ads will come on when I'm watching the footy or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, what are these people, like, married at first sight? What are they even fighting about? Like, you're not married to that person. What are you fighting about? I just don't fucking know.
I don't get it. It's like that whole, it's just looking for a media career. Yeah. They've cottoned on to that stuff. That if I go in there, I might get a media career because this person did. If I go in, I'm unique or I'm a bitch or I'm lovely. I've got a really good chance of this. Yeah. Which is that whole I'm a celebrity, get me out of here should be called I want to be a celebrity, put me in there.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Because who the fuck are half of those people?
Yeah.
They got Malcolm in the Middle, Frankie on there at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's almost a legitimate celebrity. Almost.
Oh, yeah.
He was.
100%. He's a NASCAR racer now.
Is he?
Yeah, well, that's just, anyway, I'm not talking about reality.
No, but there's never been an easier time, I guess, to be a casting agent because you just look on Instagram and go, that person will do, that person will do.
Yeah, completely.
I guess that's how they do it.
And it's cheap television because it's all sponsored. So, the shows like The Block.
Oh, mate.
Where it's like, close-up of Makita.
Yeah.
Clearly, Makita is sponsoring this episode.
They go to the McCafe all the time.
All the time, yeah. You're not McJoking about that.
Yeah.
It's very deliberate.
Yeah.
Spielberg was known as the greatest fucking product placement guy, which led to that whole scene in Wayne's World where he's going, Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Yeah. For sure.
Man, you watch E.T., it's just fucking Pizza Hut, Coca-Cola. It's like watching an ad.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. IT, screen printing company. Footscray. What's the website? Is the website on there or is it?
It is www.hightscreenprinting.com.au.
Word.
Anyway,
Yes.
so Neighbours, man, interesting. That's got to be an interesting time, and it's got to be a big change from a kid from Shep to be now mixing in different circles and doing film which is what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's a good entree into that industry.
Yeah. So I did an attachment in my third year at Studio Centre Productions, which is now Fremantle Studios, where they shoot Neighbours, and where they were shooting lots of variety shows. A lot of films went through there as well. Rove was shooting out there at one of the studios at one
Deal
point.
or no deal now?
No, it's always... No, where's that being shot?
I don't know. I was on a couple episodes of Neighbours, and that was the only other thing shot out there.
Was that out there, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, what year was that?
I think it was Deal or No Deal. What that dude, short guy, he was there.
Oh, the guy that's just been cancelled. What's his name?
Did he get cancelled? No.
Oh, I know you're talking about like the guy that's on there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I love that show.
Grant Denyer.
Grant Denyer.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Do you?
Yeah, it's awesome. Deal or no deal.
Deal or No Deal. My mate, he was on the Deal or No Deal pilot episode where you could win $2 million or you could win, nothing.
Yeah.
Because after it got actually picked up, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
They dropped it to 200 grand, but he was on the pilot for 2 mil and he ended up winning, I think 150 or 200 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because now it's capped at 100, isn't it?
Yeah.
100's the biggest screen.
Do you know what he bought with his money?
A suitcase.
A dog walking business.
Nice. How's that turned out?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, hopefully he's not watching this. But yeah, good on him. He won the big bucks.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know a guy that won the showcase on Price is Right.
Really?
The Larry Emder thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was big back in the day, wasn't
That was huge. Won a car,
Yeah.
some cash, probably some fucking golf clubs.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been awesome back in the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going way off on a
I know, sorry, man. You might have to edit this.
Well, I'm
There's a lot of... I'm just fapping.
So you're working for, what was it, Fremantle Media?
It was Grundy at the time.
Grundy, right.
So I was working for Reg Grundy.
Reg, yeah.
Yep. So I was a second AD, and in 2000 I left.
Yep.
And went freelance and worked on a lot of kids' television shows. This is as an assistant director. So did like the first Saddle Club. And
It's like a book remake or something.
yeah, it's huge. It was like a half Canadian. I think that was the last production to go out of Crawford's at the time, which was a massive sort of 60s, 70s, 80s institution in Melbourne, which is now a Bunnings,
Right.
as opposed to a TV studio,
Yep.
which is sad. Then went freelance and then worked on a couple of films as well. And then sort of felt like I was getting further and further away from camera, from operating.
Yep.
So in the early 2000s, I think Bias mentioned this on a post the other day.
When you got a Word Up Wednesday.
No, it was Move on the Pavement.
Oh, yep.
So I was walking around with this little camera, a Sony TRV 27 that if you ever see one, I think they're worth about $20 now. Smack converters. And I'm going, oh, look, anyone want a free film clip? Anyone want a free film clip? And Bias, word him up, was the first guy to go, yep, I'll do that.
Yep.
And so we just started working on that. And that started the path of film clips. I was still being an assistant director on set up until about 2013. But I was shooting film clips to get back towards camera. And then I'm sort of fast tracking here a little bit.
Yeah.
But so I did all those film clips and kept doing the film clips. I worked with Discourse and we did full clip and all that stuff. Met Joshy Davis. We started doing all the uncut stuff and the Briggs and the AB original stuff. Amazing. While ADing, trying to get points up to get back into camera because I'd kind of gone down the wrong path to an extent.
Because you were doing something that wasn't mainstream, you were...
No, it was more so the position. Like a second assistant director is nothing to do with a camera department, like completely different roles. But all I want to do is get into camera department.
Right.
But you're young, you get offered a job, you get some money, work keeps coming in, you go down that path, and then you turn around one day and go, no, hang on, that's not where I want to be. So I had to sort of do a big U-turn, rebuild, which took a long time, still taking time, and get to where I, get into camera department, which I'm very grateful that I'm in now. And it was around 2013, the new show was starting up called Wentworth.
Yep.
And a friend of mine, Craig Barden, and a mutual friend of ours,
What? I know, yeah.
Kev Carlin, were doing this new show called Wentworth.
Yep.
And they'd been watching the film clips that I'd been doing
Like the rawness.
with the boys over the time. What's that?
They like the rawness.
They liked the rawness. They liked how, especially Craig, who's a DAP and a brilliant one. Go and check High Country. It's just dropped on, I think it's on Binge at the moment, new Australian series. Brilliant. He's just shot that. He was watching the progression of the work and obviously thought it was amounting to something. And one day he just called and said, "What are you doing?" I said, I've got a DJ tonight somewhere, so I'm just trying to, smash together a set. He goes, "Come out." I went, what are you doing? He goes, "I'm in Wentworth." He goes, "Your wife's out here as well. You should come out." I went, "Nah, I'm busy." He goes, "Mate, I don't want you to fucking AD. Bring your camera. Get out here now." Yeah. Within half an hour, I was out there with a 7D, with a couple of lenses, shooting an all-in fight scene on the set of Wentworth.
Wow. And
Kev Cullen's direction to me who's one of the greatest TV directors ever in this country, goes, that rock and roll stuff you do? I went, hip hop? He goes, yeah, fuck, whatever. Just do that.
Do that.
Let's do it in hand, just shoot. Just get bits of stuff of...
low profile and...
just get on the ground, He goes, "Don't be afraid, get on the ground." Craig's like, "Yeah, just get in there, Get cutaways of hands and fists flying through the air, people doing this, get legs getting thrown over legs, anything. Just get really crazy stuff, but hold it. Hold it for at least 3 seconds. We need at least 3 seconds for every shot. Doesn't have to be perfectly framed. It's just got to be hectic. We're going to use that.
It's a fight sequence.
It's a fight scene. It's like 30 of the women in an all-in fight scene in the yard." And he goes, "These will be the parts that we just quickly move to get the big shots that we're doing." I'm like, "Right, cool." And that's how I got my first break.
Wow.
As a camera operator.
So who did your set?
What's that? I got there. I actually got there.
Oh, so you did both?
Yeah, I got there. I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, there you go.
God, at the time, no, I'm not sure where it was. But yeah, I got there.
That's not the memorable part of the night.
No, that was not the memorable part. The memorable part was being put on by Craig and Kev.
Awesome.
For my first, industry break, I guess you would say.
And so then they had more permanent spots for you?
So we started creating this unit on Wentworth, which was called a cutaway unit. So they would go and shoot the big scenes with the Alexas and all, with the crew and all the toys. They would shoot that scene, and then they would move on to the next scene. But if they had inserts like, say, someone sitting at a desk writing something on a piece of paper, I would stay back and shoot all the cutaways, all the inserts.
Yep.
If someone was, at the start of the scene, someone's getting dressed and they're doing their buttons up because they've been released and they're going out into the real world, be like a little montage stuff, shoelaces. Right. I would do that so they could carry on with the big stuff.
Is it like B-roll or something that's sort of called that? Is that?
It's like a second unit.
Right, okay.
A second unit, essentially. Yeah, so... that sort of progressed, and I did 3 seasons of that on and off. So I wasn't on full time. I shot the opening credits of I think it was the first 3 seasons. Yeah, that was sort of my big break as well.
Now you're building a show reel.
Yeah, now I'm building a show reel. Now things are starting to actually happen.
The cow shit down that's gone.
The sultanas, no more sultanas.
Yeah.
Oh no, we still got shitty rigs like that to this day. You can still find them.
So then that gives you some credibility, and then I guess you keep working with them, but that opens up other doors.
Yeah, so Kev was also on Winners and Losers, which was a series at the time for Channel 7, and would request me to come out and just be an additional camera, or if he had... Kev loves cutaways, right? Loves close-ups, love macros, love heaps of coverage in scenes, just so they just go... especially if it's a hectic scene, he'll just get heaps of close-ups, cutaways, and his edits... are fucking great, especially if he's working with Angie Higgins. She's awesome. And they just get this great dynamic going. So Kevin called me out to do this stuff, just come and shoot all these cutaways, so forth. And it was great. And that sort of build. Craig was doing the same. He was working on other shows like Dr. Blake and Molly. Like I got to work with, work on Molly, the series.
Mini-series,
yeah, that was awesome. That was with Kevin Craig as well. So. And then you start meeting other operators, other DPs, and things sort of start taking off a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then I think it was in 2016 they started what they called a guerrilla unit on Neighbours, which was like a second unit that would just go out with 2 actors, one little LED light and a camera and just shoot 2-handers, which is 2 actors in a scene.
Right, yep.
And then that just grew and grew and grew and then ended up doing I think after COVID, doing a year there and must have been like 2021 or something and gone back there doing camera and haven't left.
Right.
Yeah.
But then didn't it end for a while?
It did. So I shot the last episode and that was it. It was done. Then,
and everyone was told this is it.
oh, this is it. Yeah. Look, as far as we knew, as far as everyone knew, obviously someone knows something, but we were 100% of the understanding that the show was dead. So we went back to freelance world. So I went and worked on a show called Heat with lovely Kate Kendall and Tony Gardner. And that was awesome. And then we're 2 weeks into the shoot and everyone turns up on the Tuesday morning and goes, is that true? Did you hear that? Did you see that? We're, yeah. Fuck, nah, it's official. Neighbours is coming back. Amazon's bought it.
And yeah, okay. So do you reckon that they wanted to build the hype and have that final episode and see, or you reckon it was literally?
It could be a couple of things. It could be, yeah, okay, let's build the hype. Let's come back in fresh. All the things that didn't work on the last series, we could probably get rid of now because everything's out of contract. So is it a fresh start? If we go straight back in after we're finished, do we have time to maybe sort things out? So. Whether they knew it was going to go ahead or not, no one knows. As far as we were aware, it was done. And that was cool.
Yeah.
You know, like the show ran for 37 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had a lot of long time employment in that place. A few changes happened. It came back. Producers put the calls out to who they wanted back on and so forth, or to see if people are available or show a expression of interest. And I went, yeah, sure. Why not? So I've gone back as a DOP on it and...
Explain what that is for people.
Director of photography.
Okay, there we
So we have 2 directors of photography. We have 2 blocks shooting at the same time. We have one... So it takes 2 weeks worth of filming to shoot, to complete one... to make 1 week of episodes on air, 5 episodes. So 2 weeks shooting. So you do the first week outside, second week inside in the studio. And... while you're starting what's called a block, which is a week of episodes with a director and so forth, while you're starting one on location, another block is finishing their 2-week rotation in location. So it's just constantly doing that.
Yep.
It's it's probably one idea shy of actually, having shift work and turning it into a 24-hour machine.
Yeah.
But
because you've got to bang out the episodes.
You got to bang out the episodes, and they got to go there. Everything has a delivery date.
Yeah,
and you can't miss it.
Has it changed since Amazon's got it? Is the way it works any different? Is there anything any different?
I think it's still the same show. We've just made they've made a lot of changes for the better and sort of recognise and listen to people a lot more about how things can be more efficient and so forth. So, yeah, in that regard, it's it's good, man. I love it. I love being out there. It's a lot of fun. There's really good people, and it's rip, shit, and bust. It's fast. It's fast telly, and you are absolutely fucked come Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely knackered. But that's kind of where I'm at the moment doing that.
People, all the hip hop heads are going to be like, man, stop talking about fucking Neighbours. They're going to be like, let's talk about the hip hop stuff. So, but let's go. We did go on the linear kind of journey there, but let's go back. Let's talk about some hip hop stuff. Obviously, this whole time you're collecting records.
Yep.
You're buying records. You're making music. You're involved in it. So let's remove the professional side and let's talk about the hobby side.
Yep.
Early 2000s. You're still working, but what are you doing in the music side of things?
So in 2000, I'm walking around with a camera trying to get someone to do a film clip.
Bias?
Yep, which we got a few years later. At the same time, we were doing a radio show on a pirate radio station called Street FM. Mm-hmm. I was doing that with Bigfoot and Cade Martin.
Was it like a dance music one and that you did the hip hop? Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, we did the hip hop show on the Sunday from 1 till 3 called Goon FM. Mm-hmm. And that ran for probably about a year and a half, but the guy that was running the station was fucking off his head. Mm. One day we walk in there and he goes, come in the office, sits down, starts throwing magazines at me, like Juice Magazine, all these big rappers. He goes, that's what I want this to be. I went, mate, they can't even get us in fucking Richmond on the radio. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to interview people. I went, no worries, see you later. And we left.
Yeah.
At that point, music-wise, it was weird collecting because hip-hop was going through that whole fucking Jiggy stage. Mm. You know, we're coming out of the Rockefeller, the Jiggy stuff.
Nelly and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of... I think what really saved me around the 2000 era in terms of collecting hip-hop was the Eastern Conference stuff. Mm-hmm. So artists like Mr. Eon... Cage.
So you delve in more and more underground?
Go more and more underground. Even, like, because I'm very heavy on Southern hip-hop in terms of, like, you know, Rap-A-Lot Records. And
yep.
Anyone that knows me knows that I'll just crap on about Ghetto Boys for fucking till day's end.
Yeah.
Even down south was sort of starting to change their sound. But it was all right. We're starting to get some Paul Walls, which I like that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was all right. New York was kind of... was a bit lost. I think I kind of started going more down the breakbeat sort of side of things at that point and really wanting to find... I wasn't buying a lot of hip-hop, but what I was buying was a lot of records to make hip-hop.
Yep.
So occasionally I'd hear something, I'd go in a little bit of a direction, go, this is working, that's good in terms of what I'm liking the sound of. But then I think I started getting quite disillusioned. I started liking a lot of stuff that was happening in Australia at the time, all around the country. You know, Australian hip hop thing was
huge. Yeah. But that happened. Sorry.
No. Okay.
That happened, I think, all over the world, and I think even because the US became so homogenized with the hip hop.
Yeah.
So then places like Europe, like the UK, like Australia, they were making the real, true kind of hip hop.
They were filling in the gaps, 100%. And I think that's why the local scenes, and in the UK as well, were really flourishing because, like I said, I was getting disillusioned with it. I wasn't liking what was coming out of the States. And I listened to a lot of shit from the States and always have.
Because the big labels then were pushing it because they knew it had a big platform. Yeah.
And you know, even the whole G-Funk thing was playing out, you know. You were like, oh, one more fucking Korg Triton synth, I'm going to fucking shoot myself, you know what I mean? Like, same synthetic shitty beats, samples were whack. Everyone was chopping like it was like, it's just losing its soul. And I think you're exactly right. Like with the UK and the local stuff, we really, you know, lent ourselves towards that. And then Stage a Set dropped.
Yeah.
You know, by LC. You're just going, fucking hell, man.
This is what I've been looking for.
This is unreal. Mm-hmm. This is just the best shit.
All right. So in the mid-2000s, what is Heata doing musically? And I know it's hard for you, man, to differentiate that from the cinema stuff, but what are you doing music-wise?
DJing a bit more.
Yep. Always collecting?
Always collecting, constantly collecting, always buying vinyl, always in record shops, always digging. You know, looking for 45s, looking for LPs, buying a lot of soundtracks at the time. Mm-hmm. Also trying to get the hardware up. You know, I had a Yamaha DX7 synthesizer that I had since I was a kid. So I was trying to get some more hardware. I was trying to get some drum machines. So I got like a Roland TR505, Oberheim DMX, which is the same drum machine that was used for Blue Monday and Sucker MCs. Mm-hmm. Came across one of those really cheap. So I was just trying to build the studio with, and I bought my MPC 2097. So I was still trying to learn that as well. Mm-hmm. I was very fortunate that I was taught by people like Bigfoot and taunts on how to use an MP. I would have a lot of conversations with people like Len One and Lazy Grey about hardware and so forth. So I guess while continuously buying VHSs for samples, buying cassettes, records, I think I was just trying to build to get to a point. I'd always been making beats, but had never really played them out or ever found a home for them. And I never really felt confident that the stuff I was making around that time was any good. It never felt like I actually kind of had a sound. I knew what I liked and I knew how I could get it. And I had access from just my own library of so much shit of all these formats we talked about previously. So I had it there, but I just didn't know how to put it together. And I think the first beat I did was called Pickin' Victims, which was on Taunce's Dead Brain Diaries. And that was the first track that I actually had released, and it was a complete fuck up. It was...
You're not happy?
The original beat I made was really slow or something, and then I did something in the MP or the tempo changed, something changed, and the whole track kind of sped up, and I went, oh, fuck, that's good. So I started working on that, and that what became that track, Sinking Vision, sorry. Yeah.
It's like a happy accident.
Yeah, that's it. Not Picking Victims, that was another track. Sinking Visions was the name of the song. Sorry, Taunce. And then I went, okay, cool. I'm starting to get a bit of an idea of this. I feel pretty confident with the equipment I've got. Like I got an old Moog as well that I found for $100 in an op shop, you know.
And you're playing keys and that
I
sort
play
of thing?
just keys. I'm not a musician as such, but I know how to hold a note and how to play a bass line. And this is the beautiful thing about working with Bigfoot. He is such a great musician and has such an amazing ear, and he helps out so many of us. Like you'll create a bass line or a drum pattern or something, or anything, and he'll go, nah, wrong note. Nah, that's in the wrong key. Nah, you've missed that. And he'll just come in and just go and do it. So that then led me on to Giant Steps. So Biggie and I over the 2000s became really close and are incredibly close to this day. Like I'd speak to the guy nearly every couple of weeks or something, you know. He's just such a fucking legend. I don't know where to begin to tell you how amazing this guy is, right? But anyway, he would just come around and go, bring his MPC over, or we'd just use mine, and he'd go, right, what do you got? And I'd just start playing him records. He'd go, oh, yeah, fuck, that's sick, yeah. Oh, you got any drum breaks? Yeah, fucking yeah. Yeah, that's it. Fucking. And you're like, oh, great, no worries. All right, rewind that. He would record it into the MPC. I would play it off the turntable and goes, right, yeah, bring it back. Here we go. Cool, yeah, that bit. Record it. He'd just go to work like a fucking mad scientist.
How much recording space can you have in that? Can you is it 2000? You're saying?
Yeah, 2000's 32 meg.
Right.
So that's as which is, I think its stereo is about 180 seconds, 187 seconds maybe.
But you can layer them on top of each other.
Yeah, you can layer on top, you can copy and all that, but eventually it will fucking clap out. We were on SCSI discs, I think, at this time, recording too.
Yep.
Because you couldn't put a SCSI into a 2000, but you could into a XL.
If you had like a adapter thing?
No, you just couldn't do it. You can put flashcards and so forth in there into 2000s now, or you just run it out of the SCSI into a standalone hard recorder, which runs a CF card, and you can put CF cards in there anyway. So that's how that's how I was doing music in the 2000s, late 2000s, was really giving and digging with Bigfoot, these records, or I'd just get a whole crate together of new records that I hadn't touched. So I was, like we're saying, just constantly buying records. Right, Biggie, you got a new crate, come over.
Right.
He'd come over, he'd have some ideas. He'd always have raps, or he could just fucking write a killer 16 on the spot. So I'm just playing him stuff. He's recording it, looping. He'd do all the technicals. Like he'd chop it, sequence it, play it, and then we'd both sit there and go, oh, it needs this, or it needs that, or the working relationship is so good that I could go to someone that's very established and is an actual musician. I don't like the sound. I don't like that actual sound. We need to replace that. Oh, cool. What do you got? You dig around, find some more. So
you're just building a library of just records to sample, a mixed bag of anything, not any specific genre. It's just literally sounds, anything.
Yep. So I'm buying a lot of soundtracks at the time.
Back to movies.
Back to movies. Buying a lot of funk, starting to buy a lot of 45s, starting to buy a lot of soul records, a lot of jazz records. I'd had stacks beforehand, but I was starting to, once that period started of actually going, let's make some music, I started hearing music very differently. I started hearing, you'd always subconsciously heard a loop, you always heard a break, you always heard something that was dope and go, yeah, I'd like to do that one day or do something with that. But then you actually went, right, I'm actually listening to music purely for fucking loops.
Your ears trained
for
differently.
samples.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're hearing, you could have heard Nautilus a million times by Bob James and go, yeah, it's a sick track. But then you go, oh, I could actually chop some of that, which everyone has done a million times before, but just as an obvious example, that you start hearing different parts of that song differently.
Yeah, and you start to, I guess, pick apart the instruments as well. You're like, oh, that
100%.
sound, if we could isolate that sound.
Oh, that Rhodes, that high-end Rhodes. But then one of the best things that Bigfoot and people like Lenny taught me was when you buy a record, you buy an old jazz record or a funk record, look at the musos that are on the back. Look at the session musos.
Yep.
You know, is Billy on there playing drums? You know, and you start, and old records used to also list the equipment they used.
Yeah, wow.
So, you know, if you had they go, double bass is such and such. Oh, yeah, I want a double bass sound, you know. Yeah. So the records would start speaking to you just in your hand without even listening to them about what was going to be on there.
Yeah.
So you're reading to hope that it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
And generally it was.
Well, there you go. If you've got the right trained ear.
Yeah, and the right mob around you as well, like what I was learning. And so while I was watching Bigfoot do this, I'm learning the MPC as well. I'm learning tricks. I'm showing him a couple of little things, not too much. I'm not going to take credit away from his mad science techniques, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it just got to a point where I'm just starting to make beats as opposed to just him and I being in the room together, because Giant Steps, a lot of that was made in my kitchen with one turntable, because I didn't have a shed at the time, so I had shit everywhere, and I think we'd just moved into this place, and so we had like a setup in the kitchen, which was a table, a turntable, an MPC, and a little Behringer mixer, and that's and a Vestax PMC 05 DJ mixer.
Yep.
And that's pretty much how we did it. And then he'd take it away, put it into his MP, and he'd polish it up and do all the stuff. So
all hardware, no software at all.
No software at all. No plugins.
Because there was software at this stage you could use.
Very much so.
And you guys just said, no, fuck.
Yeah. So with things like Rebirth and all that were coming out in, the early 2000s, like, emulator, 808s, 909s, 303s, all the Roland sort of techno gear, all that stuff was readily available. I think there was a big program called Reason that people used constantly. But no, we never used plugins, no soft synths, nothing. It was all hardware. He had a Yamaha Motive that he used to bring over that had really low-end bass on it that was sick, that we used for a lot of Giant Steps. But yeah, I kind of like the idea. I just love physical formats. I think that's what makes sense to me. Scrolling a mouse around on a screen and going through a drum download pack with 400 snares.
How do you know where to begin? How do you know where to end?
You're going to sit there and go, fucking kill me.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to listen to the record, enjoy the record, and actually hear that isolated snare, especially with 45s with a lot of soul music. It's just like a lot of them just start with a snare at the start, and you're like, oh,
here we go.
Great crunch, bang, in, and you're off and running. So that's, I guess, to answer your question, that's where the mid 2000s to late 2000s was, and it's with Bigfoot, and I was pretty much only making music for Bigfoot and with Bigfoot. And then I think it was around...
It's a good guy to partner up with, though.
Dude, the best. It was great. We've never had an argument. We've never had a disagreement on anything. We love the same music. We are just basically, at the end of the day, we are just purely music fans. You know, we love our East Coast, our West Coast, our South Coast, whatever, you know. He loves P-Funk stuff. You know, he's big on that in terms of the hip hop stuff. So he loves all like, you know, Above the Law, cocaine, you know, but he also loves all his sex stuff, like, you know, the Brother Lynch hung like really gully sort of gangster stuff. But the whole E40 thing, we love that, the click. But it's so many different sounds going on. And then you can go over there and hear that sound. So we're just constantly talking about music all the time, whatever style of music. And then we dig for it. And we don't try to replicate sounds replicate styles by any means. We just make what we like, which is kind of just iced tea, really, I guess. Iced tea, power of the rhyme, you know?
Well, in that mid-2000s, obviously the internet digging goes different because you can buy stuff online and so you're obviously physically digging, but you can online dig too. Absolutely.
I mean, I think with a lot of the new wave producers, there must be, and I'm only speculating here, there's got to be a lot of digital digging. I don't know how these dudes are putting out so much content and so much of it's great. And a lot of this, not all the samples, but I know a lot of samples I've actually heard, and they come from incredibly rare Italian soundtracks or rare like KPM library records that either one don't exist or they're like $1,000 records. And I don't really know anyone that probably is buying $1,000 records to sample.
Some people do.
Fuck. Yeah, like your heavy hitters and stuff, like your Mugs and all that, surely. But you reckon there's actually like local dudes like buying $1,000 records to get one sound?
Jimmy Ill Response the other day, whose episode just dropped, he's bought library records that he said for like $800 and stuff.
Wow.
And I'll play you some after this.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
but people
awesome.
do it because they know that is going to be that no one else has got it.
Interesting. But do they have it?
I don't know.
That's the chance.
Well, once you put
and that's not a hack on anyone. Like, I love anyone digging physical formats. Never a problem with me. Like, I love that.
Yep.
$800, geez.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. But when you're not making any money anyway, what's the difference?
No, exactly. We just do it for the love.
Exactly.
You do it because you've got to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. It's in the blood.
What about, there's a lot of, don't like speaking ill of people, but there's a lot of pretend record fans out there now in this day and age. A lot of people buying records that don't even have a turntable, which is crazy.
Well, that was like the cassette revolution when that came back in, you know, in the last like 6 odd years or so ago, you know, with great mobs out of California called Strictly Cassette that were really pushing that. And Instagram was flooded with it. It was great. And we all did it. You know, we all had cassettes from our childhood, and majority of us collectors still, you know, from being 70s kids, still have all those tapes.
Yep.
And we were finding that people were buying, you were probably selling, at some releases you could sell more cassettes than you would a CD or a vinyl, right?
Yeah.
And you're going, surely not everyone has a cassette player still nowadays.
I've got a couple.
I know, it's a mad collection too. Already owned off the Trident. But
the thing is with those old boomboxes is obviously the bands are perishable, so a lot of the times they don't work. But I try to explain that to some people. I don't know. I'm not a full boombox head. Like, I enjoy them, and I think aesthetically they look awesome.
Yeah.
But some people be like, man, I found this. Is it worth anything? I'm like, well, it's cool, but it's more cool if you can play a tape out of it.
Absolutely.
Push play. Does a thing fucking spin around?
Yeah.
You know?
I found an old Crown the other day in an antique shop for $90.
That's the thing now that they wise up to. You know,
nah, this thing's like a $900 boomy.
Bang,
you know, and you're going $90. It fucking plays. It's loud, and I love that sound, that tape sound. It's so nostalgic.
For sure, man.
You know, takes you back.
Yeah, takes you back to grabbing little snips off the radio and all that sort of thing, man. For sure. So back on your musical journey, though.
So giant steps.
Yep. So you're just working with Bigfoot, and then you're you've obviously. That's a great relationship, but you got to think about expanding from who you're working with.
Yeah. I've never seen myself or ever wanted to be a producer, someone that produces for everyone and have like a beat tape that, you know, you sell off here, here's 100 beats, pick one, do it. I never wanted to be that person. I pretty much always wanted to just do it and still do with Bigfoot, which is why Kill Squad exists. You know, it's like I can't not work with that guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
Without him, you couldn't.
I'll always do projects with Biggie. As long as he wants to do it, I'll do it.
Yep.
But then, you know, you have other ideas and you have other projects or you have directions that you want to go that don't always fit with other people. So in the mid-2000s, I started making like little collages. I was starting to really get sort of, again, went through another stage of being disillusioned with music and where hip-hop was going, overseas and locally. Just wasn't getting into a lot of stuff. And just started making like little pause tapes again. And I ended up playing some to Trem. And Trem goes, "What the fuck is this?" I said, "I'm just fucking around. I'm just doing a couple of things here and there." And he goes, "I want more of that.
Yeah.
I want to hear more of that." I went, "Okay." So I just went back and just started making it, which eventually became Executions. And then I started putting a couple of my own beats in there, and I really started to find my sound, what I like, which is basically fast drums, original breaks, stabs, couple of little samples here and there, but fast rap.
And when someone like Trem says this is good, that lights a fire under you. Like, I've got to keep making more.
Oh, dude, I lost my shit. And, and he goes, "This is something I want to see where this goes. This is something I would potentially release through Uncut." And I'm like, "Fuck, are you kidding me?" Like, that's just...
Yep.
I mean, we'd done the film clips, we'd, toured Term, with Joshy and KK and Trem and all that. It was awesome. It was such an amazing time of my life. But then, but the thing is, like with Trem, he's not going to do you a favour. If he doesn't like it, he's not putting it on the label.
Yep.
Straight up. Like...
But he has said...
But he said this could be something. And he's not... even though I'm really good mates with him, I know he's not going to piss in my pocket. It's the same as Bigfoot.
Yep.
Bigfoot's not going to go, "Oh, that beat's okay, yeah, fuck it, I'll rap on it." He goes, "Nah, give me something else." Like, you got to have that honesty, that trust. So when that was said to me, I was like, fuck, okay, that really inspired me. So I just went in and I sat in my shed, I looked at everything in the room, just went, right, what are you doing with this? Where's this going? And then just started sampling, creating folders, doing this. Started making some beats, did some remixes. And then 5 years later, Executions was done.
5 years.
Took me 5 years to do that, just to get it right. Like, there's probably about 50 versions of that album, and essentially it's a cut and paste tape.
Yeah.
But he pushed me so hard and would just say, "Nah, you need to do that. That's not, nah, you just sound like you've been lazy there. You need to go back and rethink that, or what else you got to go there." It was like with me the whole journey.
Wow.
And he's meticulous.
Yep.
And
at the end of the day, you've got a body of work that you're proud of.
Oh, so happy. And, we ended up releasing a single, like 2 singles off it, on a 45 with Percy P and Wolsey and Tubuck, and just going, I never saw myself releasing a 45.
Yeah.
But he pushed that. The direction he took that, once you do something with him on that label, he's invested like 4 million %. And it's like, bang, push, better this, better that. Don't take your fucking C game out to an A grade game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
he won't fuck with that, and I'll respect that like no end.
100%. So then, being a record lover, a 45 lover, to have a physical copy of your own stuff, that must be fucking a moment for you.
It's really crazy, and that and the second one we put out, which was Trem's idea of like a sound library, because we're always, sampling from sound libraries and all that. And he goes, "Well, why don't we do an Execution sound library?" And I went, "Okay, fuck, cool."
You've already got everything in the files.
He goes, "You've got everything there." And he goes, "I want to showcase your original beats, because this is not how Execution started out. It was a cut and paste tape of everyone else's shit. But then once I started sprinkling a few beats in, he really took to it. He didn't warm to it at first, and then he heard more and went, fuck. So that became a big part of that album. And he went, "I want to really showcase your original stuff, because you've done Giant Steps and you've done a couple of tracks here and there, but no one really knows." Sorry to talk about myself in the third person. I think he said, people need to hear Heater beats.
Yep.
And where you're at now is the best place you've been. I went, I agree. This is my sound. This is what I want to do. So we put out Execution's sound library, and it went really big in Japan. In Tokyo.
There you go. Which is like a colloquialism. I'm big in Japan.
Yeah, I'm big in Japan. But it was crazy because guys like Ransom and Spanky Hazard that run Sedgwick Records, they got that in. Yeah. Especially Spanky, Dion got that into Tokyo, because he's hanging out with all these amazing...
Big record culture there.
Huge. And B-boy culture.
Yeah.
So the idea of the Executions library was that it was for DJs to juggle, and it was just like open drums, this little instrumentals from the actual album, and dudes were juggling it. And I got sent this footage one day of DJ Marsky, much respect, fucking crazy 45 DJ, DJing at a b-boy competition, and this fight breaks out. And at the time, Marsky's juggling Executions. And the video, I guess at the video, I think it was by Spanky, and he goes, see, your music incites riots. The fucking punch on at a massive b-boy convention.
You should use that quote on the thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's when I really found that I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm right into this now. And then Kill Squad. Yeah. So right at the end of Executions is a trailer for a film called The Executioner Song, which is a Tommy Lee Jones film.
Yep.
And then it goes into a preview from a film called Kill Squad. Now, Kill Squad I always knew was going to be my next project, but I didn't know what it was. So I signed off Executions with a trailer, because when you used to get VHSs, it have all the previews at the start, all the previews are coming films at the end.
Yes.
So because I wanted it to be in that sort of cinema theme, the last thing I had on Executions was a trailer for a film called Kill Squad, which is just completely jacked from the VHS. That was always my next project, but I never knew what it was. And it wasn't until COVID that I realised that I wanted to form a group and call it Kill Squad.
Yep.
So, of course, I hit up Bigfoot
Yep.
straight away. Of course, I hit up Wolsey straight away and go, right, we're in lockdown, let's do some songs.
Yep.
We were originally going to do a couple of songs just for shits and giggles, just to not charge, just do a couple of songs, call ourselves Kill Squad. Here's some free music for the people in lockdown.
Yeah.
Then Bigfoot started, I sent him a beat and he started putting a couple of other Brizzy rappers on. And then he put Proof, he sent one track back with just him and Proof, Overproof Pete from Town Drunks and 750 Rebels. And I just went, that's it. That's the fucking crew.
Yep.
I went, put him on.
And he was cool?
He was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And that was it. That was Kill Squad.
Yeah.
And it just evolved. Like, it took a couple of years to do, and all through COVID. But I'd sort of done the beats and added a couple later on, but it was pretty much all recorded and just kept sending things through. What do you like? What don't you like? And
for some, how did you enjoy that part of the process for somebody? Hey,
sorry, I said end of story. It's not really. It's
still
going.
But that for someone who's so hands-on, likes to do everything so analog and so hardware, to send beats over the internet in that sort of thing, and to try and you'd obviously love to be in the same room with these people and do it like that, but I guess you just couldn't. Through
the entire process of that album, not one of us were in the room together.
I think it's totally different to how you're normally doing it.
Exactly. It's always like we'd make the beats, I send it and then it goes. Once it comes out of the MPC, just as a rough, or I track it out, and it gets sent off for mixing, I never really see it again.
So who mixes it?
Well, we had Bonesy. Bonesy mixed Kill Squad, who did a fucking killer job.
Yep.
On Executions, Trem mixed it all, and Joe from Crystal mastered. Bonesy mixed and mastered Kill Squad.
So everyone lives in different spots anyway.
Yeah, everyone's in different spots. Yeah, exactly. So it was actually pretty easy, I must say, because everything just fell into place. Everyone was really keen to do the project, and everyone was liking what was coming through from everyone else.
Yep.
So there was no headbutting.
Yeah.
It was laborious in terms of doing everything ourselves, you know. Mexi did an amazing job on the artwork.
Yep.
Like I said, Bonesy, mixing, mastering, incredible. But everyone had their own thing going on, and because we were sort of doing mates rates and trying to do it all of ourselves, it just extended out probably longer than it should have.
Yep.
We learnt a lot from that, though, and that was great. We learned how we could streamline next time. But the creative process of going back and forth, even though the internet, it actually worked fine.
Yep.
I was skeptical.
Yeah.
Because you want people in the room, but sometimes it's actually nice just to have your own time, just to get that bit right. And I'm sure the boys would say at the same time, it's nice, like especially Wolsey with hands of steel. I'm sure him working out all the parts and how he was doing it. I'm sure he wouldn't want anyone looking over his shoulder going, "Oh no, do that bit. Do that bit."
Yeah.
Give everyone their creative room and,
Totally.
and space.
And people are
and see
juggling
what they
their
come
lives
back with.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're juggling their lives. People have got kids. We all got full-time jobs.
Yeah, that's it, man. With I talk about this a bit, but when people do have full-time jobs, it means that they're so much more passionate about these sort of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, no disrespect to people that go full-time and that's what they do, but if you're doing something as a job, you're probably not going to love it as much as if you do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I completely agree with you. I still consider it a hobby. It's part of my DNA, but if I had to do it full time, I don't know.
Would you lose the passion? That's the
You
thing.
would, 100%.
Yeah.
100% you would. I'm only talking about me personally. I'm not saying
No,
can never
but I
speak
think
for anyone
that
else,
comes out-
but I
yeah.
would.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps it fresh is that we all have to work full-time jobs. I mean, look at producers like Flu at the moment. You know, Flu's producing for these fucking incredible overseas MCs. His production is off its fucking head, but he's still working a job.
Yep.
You know, and he's juggling. You make that juggle. And he's got kids as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we all do it. I actually found I got even more productive once I had kids because you go, okay, instead of just drinking for fucking 10 hours every weekend, why don't you drink for maybe a couple and do some beats and have some people there as well?
Yep.
Or dig through some records, go for a dig. You actually, I found for myself, I utilised my time better and got actually more productive.
Totally.
Because it was limited. So that little 1 hour window you have, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to either make a beat or you're going to dig for a record.
Yeah. You do. Time management
you gotta
becomes
watch a
better
movie.
when you've got kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the passion is when you've got a full-time job, you might be doing your job, you might enjoy your job like you do,
Yeah.
but you're thinking, when I get home, I'm going to really have fun because I'm going to sink my teeth into this passion project. And that's,
So my Friday nights for the last couple of decades have been my night. If, you know, sure we had the rep basketball and do all the travel and all that, but it got to a point where it's like, I just need 5 hours on a Friday night. I come home from work, have my 6-pack of Jimmy cans and just sit in the shed and just fucking go.
Yep.
You know, and just all music. Be in bed by midnight, fine for the next day for the fam. But just that window, I set it up for myself and that's what's kept it alive.
Not just with hip hop. I think it's important for everyone to have some sort of creative outlet in their life.
Definitely.
You know, or even if it's not creative, just going to the gym or fucking playing basketball.
Yeah, I
or
know.
whatever.
I've started doing the gym.
Have you?
Yeah, just doing cardio at the moment. But yeah, it's working.
Well, you got to start somewhere, man.
You do.
I looked up
Very inspired by Sarah, my wife. She's amazing at fitness. So are the girls. So
good on them.
good on them. They've helped me no end through everything. Everything we've talked about. I haven't thanked them. They've been amazing.
Yeah, I'd never like to
journey.
bring up people's families because that's their personal thing. But if you wanted to shout them out or whatever, like that's you know. That,
Sarah, Miller, and Edie. No, they're like without them, I wouldn't be here. You know, 100%.
Yeah.
Nothing but support and guidance, and I love them to death. And they give me that time, and no one gives anyone anything. It's just it's accepted, I guess. You know what I mean? When it's family time, it's fucking family time. When it's hip hop time, it's fucking hip hop time. If people respect that, everything works, and it does.
Yeah. Let's talk. You mentioned 45s a little bit. Let's talk about that, man, because it's its own subgenre within DJing, within the vinyl culture. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I know a lot of people that are into it. I'm not really into it.
Yeah.
But like, man, it seems like a fucking rabbit hole to jump into.
Oh yeah, it's like starting again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I've got a VHS collection. Oh, now I'm going to get a DVD collection. Oh, now I've got to get a Blu-ray collection. At some point, you have to fucking cut it off at the knees.
Yep.
Or else you're just going to have the same fucking thing in 20 formats and going, I've got no room. I've spent all my money. The 45 thing has always been a big thing in hip-hop and the DJ culture, obviously. You know, I learnt 45s from my dad, but I learnt funk and soul 45s from, you know, people like Lenny Webber and the whole northern scene. You know, watching great DJs like, you know, Sam Goldie, all those guys that were playing all the soul stuff, and going, what are these records? And then being associated with Southside Soul with Mick and Gail and Ronan and Carol and Mark, and just learning from them.
Yep.
All these beautiful records, but going, fuck, I'm about to go down a massive wormhole here.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
You get addicted to it. You just get really addicted. But 45s, they just sound awesome.
It's also, there's something really pure about.
Or 7 inches. I've got to say, a lot of DJs call them 7 inches, and absolutely. I mean, I guess I always called them 7s or 45s, but some people are very strict on saying 7s, and rightly so. That's what they are. Because we were also DJing 12s at the same time as an LPs.
Yeah, I think, but I love the.
Either way, it works for me.
Yeah, the 7-inch culture is sick because it's DJing at its most purest form because there's one track on one side and one track on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? There's no on 12 inches you could have an extended version. You've got more time to fuck up or anything.
Yeah.
That's pure. Like just the 45s or the 7 inches. That's DJing at its most pure form, I believe.
Absolutely, and especially with the northern stuff and the soul records. A lot of these records that are being played were made in the late 50s, early, the R&B phase of the early 60s into the sort of soul northern Motown sort of stuff. A lot of those records, you could only put maybe a minute 30 or a minute 50 on each side.
Yeah.
So these records were either being split in half. Like once it got into the funk era, the James Brown, like Funky Drummer, as a classic example, is on side A and side B. But the song's so long that the entire song doesn't fit on a 45.
Yeah.
That at the end, when the break finally comes in at the end of side B, they fade it out. So the 45 was, I believe the 45 couldn't have been used to sample Funky Drummer. It must have been the LP version because they faded out because they just ran out of recording space. That's my theory. I could be wrong. Like I said,
could
happy to be proven
they
wrong.
press a 7-inch to run at 33 so you got more?
Oh, there you go.
I don't know, but is that possible?
Oh, never tried it.
I don't know if that'd work.
I've never thought about that.
Well, it's the revolutions are going
maths. Yeah, it would make
slower
sense.
if you. I don't know.
It's all about the grooves and the time. Yeah,
it works. There you go. Anyway, with that whole
no, I love the 40, and they're easy to carry.
That's definitely a bonus.
Cheaper to make, cheaper to post. Yeah, easier to store, and they just sound fucking beautiful.
Right. Yeah. And have you jumped down the rabbit hole of like the whole rare hip hop 45s and that sort of thing?
No. I've figure I've got enough hip hop on vinyl, and I will. Okay, I am buying hip hop records, buying a lot from like Copenhagen crates. Like, so I'm listening to heaps of like Mikey Diamond.
You were wearing the jumper before.
Yeah, love that stuff, and that's a overseas label that doesn't have artists, only distributes. But I'm loving all that Mikey Diamond umbrella stuff at the moment. It's fucking killer to me. So that's mainly the hip hop I'm buying, or first time on vinyl, like rare stuff. In terms of 45s, like if I see one, yeah, sure, I'll grab it, but I'm not hunting them. Mm-hmm. It's mainly for sampling that I'm buying 45s and for playing at soul gigs, which I love.
Yeah. I know Eric, Oblivious Man, he's just always on the hunt for that shit, and he buys all this hip hop stuff, and so rare, and he'll pay big bucks. Man.
Yeah,
like it's a crazy rabbit hole to get down.
Oh, absolutely, and I've sort of gone, okay, I could keep the 45s to my funk and soul. If I start doing the hip hop, like I said, replacing it, you got in 24 matching, you spent fucking. You go, refinancing your mortgage.
Yeah, but man, people do.
But if you can, and like, hats off to them, man, if they can get it. I mean, I've spent some coin on records, but also, like, again, not disparaging anyone, everyone to their own, and I love that. If you want that record, fucking get it, however you can. You need it. But also, like, the thrill of the chase.
Yeah. Of
maybe going 5 years later, I might find that for $10.
Yeah.
Or I might have to pay $100 for it, but.
Do you what is one of your like crowning moment finds like that you've dug out of a bin or you've got from an op shop or something like that?
One of my greatest finds. Finding Ghetto Boys self-titled on vinyl in an op shop, which is now that and We Can't Be Stopped in the same crate, which are now like $600 records. For like a couple of bucks, was fucking. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, the other day I was at an antique shop and found for $6 Just Us.
You're right.
Early Aussie hip hop crew on Central Station Records.
Wow.
Yeah. Search that one up. I'll leave you with that one.
Man, I found for $1 AKA Brothers.
Oh.
Now I've got two AKA Brothers records, but fuck. This one I'll show you. I'll pull it out and show you.
Yep.
It's been signed by everybody.
No way.
Yeah, I found it in the Rye op shop for $1, right? Because
AKA?
yeah,
Coming out large, was it? Or
it was. I've got two, but one of them I bought legit, and the other one I can't remember which one is which. What was the other? Anyway, I'll find it. I'll show it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sort of disheartened with digging through records at like op shops because they're all sort of everyone does it.
Yeah.
Like every hipster kid now is.
They
looking.
do, but occasionally people still find I remember someone posting up years ago. There was a copy of Trem's Amateurs going, "Oh, is this worth anything?" You know, like knowing exactly what it was. "Oh, is this worth anything?" Found it in an op shop for like $1.
Yeah.
You know, what's that? A fucking $500 record now?
Yeah, they do. It happens.
Yeah.
Man, a mate of mine, he was at an op shop not far from your way, and he picked up a book, right? The book had $600 cash in it.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Bang.
Yeah.
What do you buy? More books?
So he...
Go buy a lottery ticket.
So this is specific. This is a very important part to the story. It wasn't like a church-run op shop. It was like a second-hand store.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he didn't feel guilty by buying the book and keeping the money. I don't know. It's a bit of a conundrum. What do you think?
So what did he do?
He picked up the book, right? He picked up a book.
Yeah.
$600.
Yeah, $600,
like, because he said that 50 fell out and then another, and he's like, fuck, he opens it up and it had $600 in it, right? And so because when he told me this story, he was asking for validation. Like I said, yeah, I would have taken the money, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, what did you do? And he said, I bought the book and I kept the money, right? Because he said it wasn't a church op shop. It wasn't a big chain one. It was like a second-hand sort of store.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you do?
I reckon you keep it and you put it towards good.
Yeah. I reckon you might know this dude. I'll tell you after.
Or you walk up and go, hey, look, I found this. You want to go Harvey's. If you want to keep a good conscience about it,
yeah,
I would. That's actually what I'd probably do. I'd go up and go, I found $600 in this book. I'm going to keep 300 of it, and you should keep 300 as well. Yeah. And then that way, everyone wins, right? And it's equal.
Yeah, I feel.
And hopefully they give you the book for free.
Well, yeah, because what you could do is just put the cash in your pocket, and then you'd feel bad. But I think he bought the book, so then he thought, the contents of the book is his. He's thinking. No,
I see the tactic there, and that's good.
Yeah.
Each to their own.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I found, I think once in Wagga at uni, found $100 in a car park in a puddle. Mm-hmm. And you're looking around going, oh, fuck, could this be anyone's? Then you're going, there's no one around. No. There's no one was doing stupid fucking prank jokes on the internet going, let's see if this dude picks up $100, puts it in his fucking pocket, then go, duh. No, you fucking keep it.
Yeah.
You're not going to take it to the cops, are you?
No.
You know, oh, yeah, no worries, we'll find out who the fucking straight in. No way.
Yeah.
That's a conundrum, but I would go Harvey's, I reckon.
All right. I reckon you'll know the dude as well. Like, and I'll tell you about who it is. I won't say him on here, but but man, another awesome op shop find.
No, but you made the right call. You did
right
good.
thing.
You did
he was
good.
asking for validation.
I think so. Absolutely. I'd validate that.
He collects
100%.
records too, so.
Yeah, go and buy $600 worth of records. Why not?
Man, but this is one other find.
But he bought the book. That's the important part of the story.
He bought the book.
So that's validation.
Yeah. What about VHS finds? You got any cracking ones of those?
Oh, yeah. I found some fucking rippers. I think one of the rarest ones I ever found was one called Carnival of Blood, which is a Palace explosive. There was like 27 Palace explosives made, which is an offshoot of Roadshow, home video from the 80s. And I ended up selling that because I had to move some stuff on. I think I got about $500 for that one.
Wow. And you bought it for a couple of bucks?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what I'm looking for when I look at like
$5 I paid for it. Yeah, $5.
I don't even know what I'm looking. You're looking for just rare shit, which obviously, but like, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, look, it's the same as like with the digging stuff with 45s and whatever, and looking for samples. You start recognizing labels. You start recognizing names on the back, but you also start recognizing the year that things were printed. Like you can look at an old jazz record and go, oh, I reckon that's around 73. There's a certain font or a matte sort of finish to it, or a flat, look of the artwork. You start seeing that with VHSs. You start realizing what eras are from the artwork and how they're presented, the clamshells they're in, the 45s.
So even the packaging, yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Like what VHS cases came in are called clamshells.
Yeah.
And they will, like if you get a really rare VHS with an original clamshell, the artwork's not cut. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
In that stuff.
Without a overnight sticker on it.
Yeah, if it's not on the artwork and it's only on the clamshell on the plastic sleeve.
Clean it off.
Yeah. You can clean it off and just have it mint. But it's so hard to come by nowadays. Everyone's on the hunt. Same. Everyone's on the hunt for 45s. Everyone's on the hunt for LPs.
Yeah.
It was great there, like, what was it, 15, 20 years ago where no one was giving a fuck about vinyl. Everything was CDs. So we were buying stuff mad cheap.
Yeah.
And getting stuff imported, from overseas. It was so much. And just finding stuff locally really cheap. And then, some dumb fucking article in The Age says, vinyl's back. And then all of a sudden everyone starts hitting op shops again. And people that don't really dig, it's a cool thing to do. And that's what happened. And the price goes through. And, then you're back to square one again going,
But that's like the trends though. Like these trends will come and go, but people that actually care will stay through those trends.
Oh, it's all these articles that keep saying vinyl's back. It's like it never left.
Never left.
None of these formats ever left. People are still pressing on CD, cassette. I'm starting to see long boxes come out again. People are starting to print long boxes.
Yeah.
Which is the packaging that
So
CDs, the American CDs.
Yeah, so you could put them in the record shelves.
Yeah, that's
and they'd
right.
stand that height so you can still see. Yeah.
So when you used to dig in places like record shops over in the States, in LA.
Amoeba,
that's it. Yeah, Amoeba. Instead of going, like, you'd have your records over there, but you're going through your CDs were like big cardboard boxes like flicking through those.
Yeah.
So
it's like they weren't sure if the world was ready to have a little fucking case. They're like, we still have to have this 12-inch tall fucking
yeah. Well, the whole reason in '92, the whole environmental movement came in about recycling, and they went, right, first thing to go was long boxes.
Is that really why?
Because of the amount of cardboard that it used.
The cardboard breaks down.
Well,
doesn't make much sense. So let's replace it with plastic.
So that was it. Yeah, so we replaced it with plastic, even harder.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. They went, right, get rid of long boxes, and it just went back to jewel cases. Yeah. So have you got any long boxes?
But I don't even remember them being here in Australia.
Not really. They were imported.
What? Yeah.
They weren't released here.
No, we never had that.
No.
What about this? What about this one? Mini disc.
Yeah. So
remember that had a commercial like for a while.
That was unreal. You could fit like almost an album and half of another one on one disc.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were great for live recording. Because you just walk up with an MD into the mixing desk at the venue, just fucking one cable in, bang. RCA with a headphone jack, bang, straight in, set your level, record.
Yeah.
And have a whole gig recorded.
Yeah, wow. I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah, so we recorded all of our Goon FM shows we did. I've got like, I don't know, it must be like 50 shows on mini discs.
Yeah. It's actually, when you think about it, it is a good medium because you've got the laser ROM, but it's also got a protective case around it. So you got the best of both worlds.
Oh, it was great. Mini disc, love it. We haven't got, I think the only format we haven't covered is
laser disc.
No, we haven't. Or 8-track.
8-track. See, man, I was born in the early 80s, so 8-track was before my time.
Oh, it was before my time too. It was reel to reel, and 8-track was kind of.
But I never even remember seeing any 8-tracks, even at op shops and stuff.
No, they're still around. I've seen 8-tracks around.
Really?
Yeah.
They are over in the corner with the 78s.
Yeah, pretty much for the 70. I love geeking out on this format shit. Yeah. It's great.
Oh, man. The laser disc, that was a fucking weird one. I had an uncle who was just into all technology shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to get the laser disc with the fucking Dolby sound. And then that... But yeah, what a waste
2.1, fucking great. And they're fucking heavy too. Have you ever like... Yeah. I've got a few laser discs just because of the artwork.
Yeah.
I think Lenny sent me a couple as well. I think Dialect, Nelson Dialect?
I don't know him.
Yeah, rapper from Adelaide.
Okay.
He was a mad collector of laser discs.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll find them at the op shops in the record bins.
Yeah.
And then I've seen a few of them.
You pick on and go, that's a bit fucking heavy. Oh, it's a laser disc.
You know, sometimes you're like flicking through the records and then there's a calendar. You know how they're the same size and there's just like a random calendar? You're like, is this supposed to be in there? But then what you find in there are calendars and fucking laser discs.
Yeah, calendars. Like fucking kittens in trees and shit hanging off.
Exactly, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, from 2005.
Don't leave me alone. Oh, that's so cute.
So we're talking about records. It's a good segue. Record Store Day, and this is going to be this Saturday, I think.
What?
It is when it comes out.
Oh, right, cool. Oh, this. Oh, yeah, cool. Oh, God, so what? Record Store Days? Oh, shit.
I think it's this Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talk about that. You got a great plug on
Yeah, it was good.
with Ronan and Frankie on
I was listening the other day.
Hippo Rex.
Yeah, Hippo Rex. Every Monday night, if you're not doing anything, listen to Hippo Rex.
100%.
When I first started recording this podcast in the city, I'd record on Mondays, and so then I'd be driving home and I'd be able to listen to it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Every Monday. But now I just tune in or I'll listen on Tuesday while I'm doing my little edits and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Record Store Day. What are you doing for Record Store Day?
I'm playing down at Union Heights, doing a half-hour set down there. Not sure what time yet. I don't think that's been disclosed yet. Might be by the time this comes out.
Yep.
But yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of... So there's... Who else is DJing?
So we've got Len One, miles ago.
Yep.
DJing, Wallsy, which is... You can never miss one of those sets.
Yeah.
I'm really keen to see what Miles Ago, a.k.a. Len One, is going to play. That's going to be fucking interesting.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll be hip-hop, but
so you can't
you never predict what he's going to play.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Will
And
Frank have it if someone turns up and does a funk soul set?
No, we have done it in the past. I don't know what those guys have talked about. Maybe they have talked about that because I've done sets at Record Store Day where you're playing like classic 45s of samples, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You like reverse
just playing the
engineering
breaks.
it.
Yeah, playing the breaks, all the break stuff. DJ Boomerang, Scotty. Mm-hmm. He's, I think it's his first time doing a record store day, certainly at Union Heights. So I'm looking forward, DJ Boomerang.
Yep.
Looking forward to see what he brings. His will be classic hip hop, 100%. And then I think we've got live performances from Royals.
Yep.
Chaps. Cash No.
Yeah.
We've got the
No
from Perth.
KNOE.
KNOE. And is it who else we got playing? Royals is doing I think Chaps and that might even bring down a couple of
G&H.
G&H and sorry, it's the first time I referred to my phone and I haven't got anything on it. G&H. And
I put you on the spot, man.
You did.
Anyway,
this is Frank's job.
It is. It's going to be a good day on the 20th.
No, it's our job because we are supporting the record stores and we're supporting independent business. And the thing I love about what Frank does, just quickly on that, is the way that he involves people and recognises, supports local business and especially the 3000 code. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is awesome.
For sure.
These days, they're getting bigger and bigger and there's so many more people coming on board. It's going to be a fucking awesome day.
Yeah. And people that come down should buy stuff and not just stay there for the free entertainment. They should purchase things.
Absolutely. I've seen dudes walk out of that shop with like stacks of stuff and you're like $500-$600 lots and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's like fish and chip shops on Good Friday, right?
Yeah.
That's what record stores are supposed to be for record stores.
And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Go and buy independent artists and independent records and support those record stores that are independent because people I see on social media, like, hey, I just bought this fucking Bliss and Esso record at JB Hi-Fi for Record Store Day. You don't get it.
No.
You are missing the point.
Yeah, completely.
Because you go and support independent stuff. You don't go to JB Hi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
Go to your local fucking record store.
Absolutely. And there's shitloads of them around. We are so lucky with Melbourne. Mm-hmm. You know, we got Wax Museum, we got Northside. Where do you know?
There's a record store down. Have you been in the record store down here?
I will be in a sec.
Should we go down there?
Yeah, righto. All right, fuck this.
I got man. I've got some good records from down there. I think it's called Reloaded.
Okay.
It's a proper old record store. We should go have a look.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, there's record stores everywhere, and people just need to go and support them. Like go and
Old Plates Bar. So I got to give a big shout out to Old Place, man-child.
Yeah, Rick's Records. Rick Marecki's got the tiny little record store, and there's lots of little independent
Dutch,
ones. Yeah.
You know, Plug
7 is that still there?
Yeah, Plug 7's still there.
Alley Cats.
Ooh, I think over in Glenferrie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're there anymore. They could be. Haven't been out that way for a while. Still got Dixon's, which is the second-hand shop. I know it's second-hand, but you know,
In Blackburn.
very important shop, that one.
Even out of the hip hop genre, Poison City Records, you know what I mean? There's lots around.
Oh, absolutely. What's the metal shop there? Is there a metal shop at the moment? I'm sure there is.
There's plenty.
Might be Heartland Records over there in the market. There's a lot of metal stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so many. But anyway, all you can do is go and buy the digger, walk into any of these independent record shops.
Wax Museum.
Yeah, we mentioned Waxies.
Okay, we did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
We did.
did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, good. Definitely love those boys. Walk into any of these shops and grab the Digger's Guide. Mm-hmm. You know, which is a little free pamphlet that's just ask anyone working there, go, where's the Digger's Guide? And it'll tell you every record shop in Melbourne. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
So important. So that's who we're supporting.
That's it.
And also local businesses like yourself.
Yeah, well, you have to make money to be a business. I'm just a local...
Yeah, but you still got to pay for your fucking...
Got it, yeah.
You know, you got 2 cameras going here. You got this desk.
I've got a bit going on.
Got all this soundproofing. Probably should have used that on me.
Do you know why? Do you know why that's all there? Because when I was editing the other day, my son's on that quarter pipe over there.
Oh, see, I saw that.
Right,
You got to spin the camera out onto that one day.
Yeah, he found all that acoustic foam out the back
No way.
and made like a crash mat foam pit so he could drop in and stack into that.
Fucking
And I had
brilliant.
no idea what he
See?
was doing. And then I turned around. I'm like, "What are you doing, man?" And he's built this foam pit.
That's great.
Yeah.
See, that's using your restrictions to be creative.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going, oh, I've got this, I've got that. How can I make this happen? Beautiful.
Man, Heata,
Yes,
we
yes.
have clocked in over 2 hours. Which
Oh, man, that's way too much. Sorry.
Well,
you better edit this shit.
the only reason why I would think about wrapping it up is because
No, we should.
I want to have you come back again.
Cool.
So I don't want to have covered everything because now that I'm getting the episode numbers up there, I want to start having people come back. So I'd
Yeah,
love you to
great.
come back again, man.
Yeah, mate. Thank you so much for having me. Absolute pleasure. I'm loving what you're doing too. And support the podcast, people. 3,000, that's the one.
Cheers. Just before we wrap it up, though, do you want to tell people where they can get more of you? Obviously, Record Store Day, but where else can they buy your shit or find your music or all your creative shit?
Yep. Okay. So hgcrew.com is pretty much, which is run by Biggie out of Bigfoot out of Brisbane. He's pretty much got all of our stuff on there. Executions is pretty much all sold out. I got a few CDs. If anyone ever wants one of those old things, they're all sold out through Uncut. I've got a few CDs left. You can hit me up just on Instagram. It's probably the best place because I don't really do Facebook much apart from Marketplace and finding out about gigs. So Instagram. And what else? Yeah, that's probably about it, really.
Man,
About the spots to hit, I think. Yeah, Kill Squad's on there. Yeah,
for sure.
hgcrew.com.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll be seeing you Saturday at Union Heights
Awesome.
for Record Store Day.
Can't wait,
I'll be
brother.
doing a few little interviews and I'll do a sort of podcast thing on the road, which will be interesting. So I'm sure we'll get to chat more then as well.
Amazing, mate. Thanks so much for having me in and keep fighting the good fight, brother.
Cheers. Thank you.